stuck with my crush. The story begins in the city, inside the room of Jung Minjun. In the morning, the computer is open, and Rage Z Zombie, the game, is on. As Jung Minjun sleeps, his phone's alarm rings, signaling that it is 7:05 on February 5th, Wednesday. Jung Minjun suddenly wakes up and says, "Oh, I fell asleep playing games again." He then sits up and takes his phone, saying, "Saying, I want to quit school." As he walks outside his room, on the fridge, he notices a message from his mom that says, "Hey, mom's off to work, so eat well and go to school." Jung Minjun stares at it for a moment before walking outside. He looks at the building ahead, the Palace 104, and thinks to himself, the kids who live over there probably can't even imagine a life like mine. He walks to school alone. A few moments later, at the school, Jung Minjun drops to the ground in pain and says, "Aha! Dang it! Arr!" Park Song-bin says, Sorry, Minjun. Are you okay? I was trying to go easy on." And his friend says, "Hey, if you'd fallen wrong just now, your head would have cracked open, man. But still, that last move from Minjun, freaking awesome." Park Seong-bin says, "But wait, what did you say? Dang it? Did I hear it wrong? This guy Minjun, haha." Park Song-bin, 18 years old, Songgun High School, second year, class 3, says, "It's it because I've been letting things slide lately? You're getting pretty darn bold, huh, you punk?" Hanyena says, "Ugh, so darn noisy in the hallway." As Park Song-bin stops, Hanyena says, "What are you, a toddler?" Park Song-bin, "I told you to stop bullying the losers." And dang it, Park Seong-bin says, "Then I wondered who it was, and it's Hanyena." Hanyena says, whether it's the losers or that jerk Park Song-bin bullying kids, "You're seriously disgusting, so stop stirring up trouble in front of me and don't ruin the school vibe." Park Song-bin grabs Jung Minjun and says, "Hey, dang it, bullying? What Minjun's our class mascot. Just playing with him, lol." Hanyena says, "If you want to play, don't mess around in the hallway. Go outside. Or something." Park Song-bin says, "And the one Minjun hates the most is you, Hanyena, lol." Jung Minjun adjusts his glasses and sweats. Hanyena says, "Shishay, hey, unlike you, I don't hit him, okay? I just ignore him completely." Park Song-bin says, "Team same difference, dang it, lol." Jung Minjun thinks to himself, Hanyena, just like Park Song-bin, she's a girl in our class I've known since middle school. Park Song-bin says, "Anyway, I'm meeting an older guy I know today to hang out. Wanna come too?" Hanyena says, "Are you nuts? After what happened last time I listened to you, I'm never going to anything you're at again." And of all places, it had to be Jung Minjun's basement. Creepy as heck. Jung Minjun thinks to himself, she lives in that fancy apartment complex I can see from my house. Her parents are a hospital director and a professional, rich as heck, total gold spoon. Active on social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram, she's the ultimate social butterfly, the popular one among the popular. On top of that, she's also great at studying and ranks in the top tier academically. I heard she's preparing to study abroad in the United States next year. She seems like a perfect girl with nothing lacking at all, as Hanyena notices Jung Minjun looking at her while they enter the classroom. Jung Minjun thinks to himself, but if there's one flaw, it's that she looks down on poor people like me, and anyone considered a loser. Hanyena says, "Duh, what are you staring at?" Her friend says, "Puffed." LOL. Jung Minjun thinks to himself, when did it start, I wonder? It was back in 8th grade when we first ended up in the same class. I had worked up the courage to talk to her. Jung Minjun says, excuse me, are you going the same way home?" Hanyena looks back and says, "Hey, you smell, so could you stop following me? If you're going the same way, please just go separately, or take another route." Jung Minjun thinks to himself, that was when I realized for the first time. Hanyena says, "Also, I seriously don't even want to talk to someone like you." Jung Minjun thinks to himself that Hanyena despised me, and that I gave off a poor person's smell. Come to think of it, Hanyena always had a nice scent. Is that what rich people smell like? Normally, when someone really hates you, your feelings for them fade too. Hanyena says, "Ugh, this is so annoying. Even in high school, I have to sit next to you. Is there anyone who'll switch seats with me?" Jung Minjun thinks to himself, even though we kept ending up in the same school and the same class, and Hanyena always mocked and looked down on me. Strangely, even I couldn't clearly figure out how I felt about her. Do I really still like that girl? Is this the true feeling of a loser? developing feelings for someone who always mocks and looks down on me. It's really ironic, isn't it? But now, I'm crushed physically by Park Songbin and emotionally by Han Yena. Since then, until now, because of this same miserable situation every single day, I've come to feel ashamed of my life, humiliated. A few moments later, outside, Byung-jun says, Sunho, don't you know this quarter's anime lineup is insane? You probably know one of the originals too. Bae Sunho says, Nah, I'm not that into anime anymore this year. By the way, I think today's the Rage Z offline event. Byung-jun says, and if it weren't for school, I could have gone to the event. This morning, Bae Sunho says, but seriously, who holds a game offline event on a weekday morning? Byung-jun says, not interested in game events. I'd rather go to a Lumina concert. Bae Sunho says, Shoto then, want to try getting tickets with me? I think there's a concert this month. And Bae Sunho, 18 years old, Songgun High School, 2nd year, Class 6, and Byung-jun, 18 years old, Songgun High School, 2nd year, Class 5. Jung Min-jun thinks to himself, Sunho and Byung-jun, who are in different classes from me. They're the only friends I have who are similar to me, but they just happen to land in good classes so no one bullies them. Byung-jun says, Min-jun wanna come with us too, to the Lumina concert. Jung Min-jun thinks to himself, they're seriously lucky guys, born with good luck. Byung-jun says, Jung Min-jun. Jung Min-jun thinks to himself, guess I'm the only one cursed with a miserable life. Bae Sunho says, hey, Min-jun. Jung Min-jun snaps back and says in shock, huh? Bae Sunho shows his phone and says, are you coming to the Lumina concert or not? We're going to try for tickets. I've got to go fangirl over Jian Nim. Jung Min-jun sweats and says, ha, no thanks. Jung Min-jun stands up and says, from now on, I don't give a darn about idols anymore. Byung-jun, shocked, says, what? No way. You dare to quit being a fan of Lumina Jian, one of the top 5 idol gods, Jang Kaseo Yujin? That's some next level crazy. Jung Min-jun says, anyway, I'm heading in first. Bae Sunho says, Tank, that guy was just fangirling over Lumina not long ago. He looks even more lifeless than usual today. Byung-jun says, why though? Bae Sunho says, isn't it because of that dating rumor a while ago? Byung-jun says, he's acting like the world ended just because of that? Do such loser freaks even exist? Bae Sunho says, and be the same if Jang Young got a dating scandal. Byung-jun says, but true that. As they look at Jung Min-jun walking away a few moments later at Class 2-3, Jung Min-jun sits silently and says to himself, I wish school would end already. Park Songbin says, a dang punk gave me the stink eye again earlier. Ha. His friend says, sa, Kang Hakcheol? And Park Songbin says, honestly, he's shorter than me. I bet I could kick his butt. His friend says, Songbin, since you go to an MMA gym, of course, he doesn't stand a chance. LOL, Park Songbin says, fine dang, that commie bastard who abandoned his parents in North Korea. No manners at all, seriously. But how did he even escape North Korea? His friend says, Tanai only heard he came here when he was 13. Nothing detailed, but I guess he dodged death and barely made it out, LOL. Their other friend says, hey, as he looks at the door, Kang Hachiol walks in and says, what did you just say? Kang Hachiol, 18 years old, Songgun High School, Year 2, Class 8. Park Songbin looks at him confused and says, what, you dang bastard? You got a problem? Kang Hachiol says, watch your mouth. As Park Songbin grabs his collar, Park Songbin says, son, you son of a biscuit. As he silently holds Kang Hachiol's collar, Kang Hachiol stares at him silently. Park Songbin's friend says, hey, let's stop this. His other friend says, Tongbin, you started this. Shouldn't you apologize to Hachiol? Park Songbin says, don't you came all the way to South Korea? If you don't want to die here, just go to school quietly. A few moments later, Park Songbin and his friends walk away. Jung Min-jun looks behind and sweats, and he says to himself, this crappy class in this crappy school. A few moments later, Jung Min-jun walks home and says to himself, yeah, starting tomorrow, I'm quitting this crappy school. That's the shortcut to happiness in my hellish life. Starting tomorrow, I'm never coming to school again. Suddenly, Park Songbin shouts, hey! Jung Min-jun is shocked and stops. He looks at Park Songbin and is confused. Park Songbin says, perfect timing, ha. I'm trying to get some cigarettes, can you help me out, LOL? I'll just go ask that grandma over there to buy them from the convenience store. Jung Minjun says to himself, a bastard like you. I'm gonna quit school anyway. I won't ever see you again. I should at least curse that bastard out once. But that's Minjun, who only imagines it and never acts. As Jung Minjun walks away, Park Songbin, confused, says, huh? Hey, Jung Minjun, aren't you coming here? You ignoring me? His friend says, damn, what the heck? Minjun's insane, lol. Now he's totally ignoring Seongbin? LMAO. His blind friend says, Prue, what the heck? Park Songbin, with his ego broken, says, tis bastard. A few moments later, at a construction site, Jung Minjun says in, pain, ga. Park Songbin says, this crazy mother. Why is he acting up so much today? This broke-ass trash bastard. Should we just kill him today? And you've gotten too comfortable since middle school, huh? You damn punk, his friend says. Chio, I swear I don't know, his other friend says. In Chai, he been trying to stop Seongbin, but I give up. Even if Minjun dies today. Jung Minjun says, kill me. And Park Songbin is shocked and confused. Jung Minjun says, just kill me already, please. Because I don't want to live anymore. Jung Minjun says, hey, now I kind of feel bad for you, Songbin. Haha. Well, Park Songbin gets angry and says, to freaking bastard, and he kicks Jung Minjun. Park Songbin says, hey, listen up. If you even think about writing my name in your suicide note and dying, you better be ready. Because after you die, I'll go find your mom, who'll be left alone, and kill her too. His friend says, whoa. Songbin, that was way too far just now. His other friend says, damn. Park Songbin says, shut the freak up, all of you. Let's go. As Jung Minjun lies on the ground, a few moments later, Jung Minjun walks alone, and he says to himself, I wish the world would just end tomorrow. As he silently walks home, he says to himself, well, wouldn't it be better to die? As he looks at the sky, he says to himself, if I fall from that high place, everything will be over. I don't need anything anymore. There's no reason for me to live this miserable life any longer. Suddenly, Hanyena says, hey! Jung Minjun looks behind, confused, looking at Hanyena. Hanyena says, what are you doing here? This isn't even your home, right? What are you doing at our apartment complex? Don't tell me. You snuck in here? As Jung Minjun freezes in shock, looking at Hanyena, Hanyena says, but it doesn't look like you came to deliver anything. Are you here to steal something or what? Whoa. Jung Minjun says to himself, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't be in a place where people like you live. I just came here to end everything. To die at your apartment. Hanyena, confused, says, but hey, what happened to your face? Did someone hit you? As Jung Minjun remains silent, Hanyena says, hey, seriously, you're so darn frustrating. If guys like Park Songbin bully you, then why don't you just fight back? After getting beaten once, shouldn't you at least try to stand up for yourself next time, even if you get hit again? Seeing someone like you just makes me feel so darn pathetic, seriously. You're not good at anything, so shouldn't you at least have the courage to fight back? Isn't your life just miserable if you live like that? Jung Minjun silently walks away. Hanyena says, what the? Are you leaving again? Still ignoring me till the end? Hey, what the heck? Are you crazy? When someone talks to you, ugh. But seriously, he is pretty darn pitiful, so weak and spineless. I'm definitely saying something to that bastard Park Seongbin tomorrow. As she watches Jung Minjun walk away, a few moments later, Jung Minjun walks into his room and says to himself, let's just play a game. And he opens his computer. Jung Minjun puts on his headphones and says to himself, but this is ridiculous. I gave up on dying just because of Hanyena? Well, what she said was right. Whatever. I've quit school now anyway. From now on, I probably won't have to see Park Seongbin or Hanyena again. But maybe starting tomorrow, I should help mom with some work. Oh Byungjun says, Jung Minjun, you're here? Bae Sunho says, hurry up and come in, we're waiting. Jung Minjun says, Chin, hold on, I just turned on the game. A few hours later, Jung Minjun still plays at night as people outside shout, Shokya, what the heck? Jung Minjun still plays with Oh Byungjun and Bae Sunho, while noise outside of people running and shouting. Jung Minjun, still playing, says, not there. Over here, 3 zombies. Tache, all cleared. Bae Sunho says, hey, something came up. I think I have to head out real quick. Jung Minjun, confused, says, huh? All of a sudden? Hey, just finish this round before you go. We can wrap it up in 10 minutes. Oh Byungjun says, Minjun, I think I have to go too. Jung Minjun, shocked and confused, says, what? Even Byungjun too? Jung Minjun looks at the clock and says, What time is it now? 10 o'clock? It's already that late? Oh, Byung-jun says. What the heck? Did you see the news just now? It's total chaos. Jung Minjun says, huh? What news? Suddenly, Jung Minjun hears a loud noise. Jung Minjun, confused, takes off his headphones and says, what's going on? Jung Minjun walks out of his room and says to himself, what the? Jung Minjun says, who are you? As the doorknob moves, Jung Minjun says to himself, no way. Who is this person, seriously? So damn creepy. Jung Minjun peeks through the peephole. His neighbor says, help me. Jung Minjun, confused, says, be my upstairs neighbor? The man creepily says, top open, the door. Jung Minjun says, huh? Ah, did the delivery get sent to the wrong floor again? As the man bumps his head on the door, Jung Minjun says to himself, this guy's drunk again. Huh? Jung Minjun grabs the doorknob and gently opens the door. He looks outside and is shocked and confused, saying, huh? As the man is injured and walks toward him, Jung Minjun is shocked after looking at the man's stomach. Jung Minjun sweats and says, Ajushi, are you okay? Should I call 119? The man suddenly groans and shouts, Ingwa. As he jumps at Jung Minjun in fear says, Kuk. The man shouts, Gwa! Jung Minjun screams like a little girl saying, ah! Jushi, why are you acting like this all of a sudden? Jushi, for freak's sake. As Jung Minjun kicks him away, the man is thrown out. Jung Minjun immediately closes the door. As the man outside groans, saying, Wah! Jung Minjun pants, saying, Huff, 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 huff. Jung Minjun's knees tremble and he says, Well, what the hell was that? Jushi's face was completely. Jung Minjun takes his phone and says, police! I need to call the police. But there is no dial tone. Jung Minjun, confused, says, What? The phone's not working at all. Huh? As multiple messages appear on his screen, emergency alert at 9:10 a.m., a warning alert was issued for the Seoul area. Terror attacks are occurring in unspecified locations. Please prepare to evacuate and allow children and the elderly to evacuate first. Emergency alert at 9:35 a.m., an emergency shelter-in-place order was issued. If you see any attackers nearby, avoid going outside and stay indoors, waiting for rescue. Emergency alert, unknown attacks are occurring in Seoul and unspecified areas. If you see any attackers, stay indoors and await rescue. Numerous murders are being reported. Jung Minjun says, "Emergency alert." Jung Minjun hears noise outside. He opens his window. A lady says, "Kya." As Jung Minjun sees the chaos outside, a man is being eaten by zombies, saying, "Gah! Please help me." What? Jung Minjun says to himself, "What on earth is going on?" That Ajushi from the floor above. Jung Minjun closes his window and says to himself, my mom, is she okay?" As he dials her phone number, he says to himself, She usually comes home around this time, please." He is shocked and says to himself, "Even my mom's phone is completely out of reach." But a few moments later, Jung Minjun turns off his lights and hides under his blanket, facing the door, as he trembles in fear. Jung Minjun looks at his phone as he trembles. Jung Minjun says, "An internet and everything else has been out since earlier." As the site says cannot connect to the site, Jung Minjun opens his television and says to himself, I better keep the volume down in case it can be heard outside. The news says a series of brutal murders is being committed by a number of unidentified civilians across the country. The government is treating this as an act of indiscriminate terrorism and is currently investigating the cause and those responsible. However, no specific information has been released yet. Newsflash: breaking news, random killings reported in the metropolitan area. The news says, yes, I will repeat myself. The current situation is extremely serious. Jung Minjun says to himself, a terrorism. Something bad is happening. The news says, if possible, remain indoors, lock your windows and doors, and avoid contact with the outside world. Breaking update: there are now reports of killings occurring in Busan as well. As a man bites a boy. The reporter says, similar violent incidents are being reported not only in major cities like Seoul, Busan, and Incheon, but also in smaller towns. Police and military forces have been deployed, but the situation appears difficult to control. Jung Minjun says to himself, this is insane. This isn't just terrorism or causing fear en masse. Don't tell me it's what I think it is. Zombies. Could it be that? Am I dreaming? Could everything fall apart this fast? From Seoul to Busan in just a day. Just why? What's the cause?
I shouldn't be standing around like this.
Come to think of it, the guy upstairs went outside earlier. If there's no one in the building's stairwell, first I should shut the building's front door. As he looks through the peephole, he says, "No one's here." And he opens the door. He looks around and says to himself, "No way there's someone up the stairs, right?" And he opens the main door and walks outside, saying to himself, quietly. As he sees a zombie, he gets scared and goes back inside, closing the main door. He says, "Phew, now that I think about it, are the people upstairs okay? It's strangely quiet. I'll just stay inside and wait until morning. The police or someone will come to rescue us eventually." A few moments later, in his room, the news reporter says, "Yes, we will continue with the breaking news. Random killings reported in the metropolitan area. Currently, the situation." Suddenly, the television shuts down. Jung Minjun, shocked, says to himself, "Now even the broadcast is cut off." A few moments later, as zombies are heard outside, Jung Minjun tries to sleep, and he says to himself, "And I can't sleep. More importantly, it feels strange. Just yesterday, I wanted to end my own life because of how hellish my life was. I even thought it'd be better if the world just ended. And now, it really has. But here I am, desperately trying to survive. Maybe it's not that different from before. Whether then or now, it's still hell for me." The next day, as zombies walk the street, Jung Minjun opens the door gently and peeks outside. As he sees multiple zombies walking, Jung Minjun says to himself, "An air feels unfamiliar, a scent of blood. Just from the atmosphere, you can tell." Then he closes the door. He locks the door and says to himself, Going outside right now would be suicide." As he looks at the door of their apartment, a few moments later, Jung Minjun looks at his rations and says to himself, let's see. 4 packs of ramen, 6 cup noodles, including instant rice and uncooked rice. Enough for 2 weeks for one person. And a few side dishes. 3 bottles of bottled water. The tap still works, so I should collect as much as possible. Luckily, the gas still seems to be working too. Just judging by the emergency food supply, I think I can survive in the house for about a month. Someone's bound to come help within a month, right? Still, I really hope my mom is okay. I can't call 119 or contact anyone since the phone network is completely down. Now that I think of it, excluding the vacant units, there are 5 households in this building. The ajushi from upstairs turned into one of them, and on the floor above that, there's an elderly couple and an ajumma. I wonder if they're still there. The college guy in the rooftop room. Is he really still there? He usually brings his girlfriend over every Tuesday. Yesterday was Tuesday, so maybe he's still in the rooftop room. A few moments later, Jung Minjun walks to the rooftop. Jung Minjun says to himself, "Still no sign of anyone alive from the other floors. That means last hope. The rooftop guy. Please, tell me he didn't turn out like a jushi." As Jung Minjun sees the light, he says, "The rooftop door was open." As he silently walks to the rooftop, Jung Minjun says to himself, "Should I call out? No, better not, just in case. What is this? The inside door's open too." As he slowly enters the room, it's dark inside. Jung Minjun says to himself, "No one's here." Suddenly, he sees something and says, "Oh, ha." And he sees blood on the floor and says to himself, Day 2 of the disaster. That day became a major turning point in my life. Jung Minjun says to himself, "Blood, stains, and inside, I can feel a presence." As he trembles, he says to himself, "Freak me. Let's go out slowly." Suddenly, he hits the plant pot and it falls to the ground, shattering and making a loud noise. Jung Minjun says to himself, "Freak?" As he looks behind, the college student says, "Psyche kick." Jung Minjun runs out, saying, "Purr." As he trips on his own leg and drops to the floor, he says in pain, "Ah." Jung Minjun sweats and looks at the college student rushing toward him. As Jung Minjun stands up, he ducks, and the college student hits the end of the roof. Jung Minjun pushes him to the edge, and he falls from the rooftop. As Jung Minjun looks back, he freezes in shock. Jung Minjun drops to the ground and says in fear, He fell." Jung Minjun suddenly rushes inside and locks the door. He says in fear, "Ha, ha," and goes back to their apartment. Jung Minjun drops to the ground and pants, saying, "Ha, ha," as he trembles in fear. Jung Minjun says to himself, "Sint, the rooftop Hyung must be dead, right? Did I just kill someone? No, it's not my fault. That Hyung attacked me first." A few hours later at night, the sun starts to set outside. As Jung Minjun, still in shock, sits on the floor, Jung Minjun says to himself, "Sad day. I was tormented by guilt all day long. Did I really make the rooftop Hyung fall to his death?" Jung Minjun stands up. A few moments later, Jung Minjun goes outside and sees the college student, and he looks closely. Suddenly, the college student turns around. Jung Minjun suddenly froze in shock. He sweats in fear. He says to himself, "Tin, the rooftop Hyung is alive," as Hyung says, "Gur." Jung Minjun says to himself, "Sin, I realized. They're no longer human. I'm sorry, Hyung. But zombies," and he went back inside the building. As Hyung said, "Org," Jung Minjun says to himself, "Since that day, strangely enough, my fear of the infected began to fade away." The next day, day 3 since the apocalypse took place, Jung Minjun ate his meal. Jung Minjun says to himself, "Until the gas is cut off, I can eat this. I wonder when it will be cut off. Is it really right to just keep waiting in this basement until help arrives? After all, the food will run out. Since no one other than the rooftop Hyung has come out, it seems there are no more infected. Should I go back up? To request help, I'll need to light a fire on the roof." As he thinks silently, Jung Minjun looks at the window and says to himself, "I guess I'll have to go out tomorrow. Maybe it's because I already prepared to give up on life a few days ago, or it's because of what I experienced yesterday and the day before. I'm not sure, but those zombie-like people don't particularly scare me anymore." Suddenly, his phone rings. Jung Minjun says to himself, "Pa, Mom?" He answers the phone and says, "Hello? Mom." His mom says, "Minjun, where are you? Are you okay?" Jung Minjun says, "I'm hiding alone in our house right now. Where are you?" His mom says, "I'm at the military while evacuating the day before yesterday, and I am currently at the shelter in Songnam. Don't worry about me. If you're at home, don't go outside. I'll make sure to ask the rescue team to come to our house, right now in Seoul, towards our neighborhood." Suddenly, the line is cut, and Jung Minjun, confused and shocked, says, "Mom? Mom, freak, it's cut off again." Still, I'm glad to hear that Mom is safe. What the? I'm getting messages all of a sudden now. Sunho and Byung-jun. These guys are safe too. As he reads the messages, Byung-jun, freaking hell, check the news. It's a mess. Air raid alert. Air raid alert. All police forces were mobilized. Sunho, seriously, this crazy son of a bee. This isn't the time for jokes. We're off Gojo Satoru. Byung-jun, What meme is this? But is this really sending? It's a bit slow. Did my data get cut off? 1:18 a.m., 1:19 a.m., 1:20 a.m. Sunho and Tono, it seems to be working for me. Byung-jun, Jung Minjun, the only one not checking messages. Sunho, are you at home? Call me. Jung Minjun says, but seriously, to think he would be joking around at a time like this. Sunho and Byung-jun live super close, so they might be able to help each other. But only Mom, Sunho, and Byung-jun contacted me in this situation. Jung Minjun suddenly thinks and says to himself, Han Yena. Of all the people I know, she's the one living closest. Now that I think about it, she did come here last year. And he remembered that time. His friend said, "Oh, so I'm serious. Han Yena saw you on Instagram and asked me to introduce you. Ha ha ha." His other friend said, "Oh, do you really? She doesn't know I have a girlfriend, right?" A blind friend said, "Yeah, lol." His other friend said, "Hey, but do you think Han Yena would really come here? She's usually so uptight." "It's okay, haha. I just told her to come over without hesitation. Ha ha ha. She probably doesn't even know it's Jung Minjun's house." His malnourished friend said, she actually comes here, does that mean Han Yena wants a boyfriend?" Their other friend said, "Ching Kesent, I'm looking forward to it. Ha 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 ha. Those Insta photos looked really nice. Ha ha ha." Park Song-bin said, "Ta Changmin, if she comes, I think it's a great opportunity. Up for it?" Changmin said, "Ha ha 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 ha, you demon. Are you selling her out despite going to the same middle school? Still, would Han Yena really come over?" Park Song-bin said, But if I get caught trying to flirt with her, I'm in real trouble." Changmin said, "Who cares?" Park Song-bin said, "Say hey, Yena just contacted me." Jung Minjun sweats and is shocked. A few moments later, Park Song-bin says, "Wait, hey, Han Yena really came? Ha ha ha." Changmin said, "Bono, really?" "Ha ha ha, is she really coming? Ha ha ha." She'll go outside and let her in, as Jung Minjun is shocked and says to himself, "Did she really come?" A few moments later, Han Yena arrived. As Jung Minjun stares at her, Park Song-bin says, "Come on in." Jung Minjun's house is effing nice, right? Ah ha ha. Park Songbin says, by the way, this is Changmin, whom I mentioned. Ha 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 ha. We know each other from Insta, right? Say hello. Ha ha ha. Jung Minjun says, hey, I'll just leave. Hanyina said, what? After coming all the way here, where are you going? Jung Minjun says to himself, and what made me feel miserable wasn't having Park Seong-bin and his crew invading my house. Hanyina said, and the smell of cigarettes is disgusting. The floor is sticky. The house is stuffy. And why didn't you mention that it's Jung Minjun's house? Ugh, so annoying. Jung Minjun says to himself, but Hanyina's reaction. A few moments later, in the bathroom, Jung Minjun took a dump and he said to himself, is she safe? If those symptoms are caused by a zombie virus, since my dad is the hospital director, he might know some solutions. But why am I worrying about her in this situation? She must have made it out fine since she lives well. Suddenly, Jung Minjun heard Hanyina outside saying, Jung Minjun. Jung Minjun was shocked and he looked at the door. Jung Minjun said to himself, Che, just now, I feel like someone called me from outside. Did I hear it wrong? Hanyina said, Che, Jung Minjun, are you there? If you are, open the door for me, quickly. Jung Minjun, still shocked, said, Hanyina? As he was still taking a dump. Hanyina said outside, Jung Minjun. The zombies near her said, Unga, ha. Hanyina said, it's really you inside, right? I thought I heard a voice just now. The zombies noticed her and said, Sucker. Suddenly, a zombie ran towards her and said, Gaigag. Hyung said, Sheg Gog, as his new friend also said, Iker, as they rushed towards Hanyina. Hanyina panicked and punched Jung Minjun's wall, saying, Che Jung Minjun, quick, open the door. Please, if you're there, respond. Jung Minjun got out of the door quickly after he took a large dump, and he shouted at Hanyina, saying, come in quickly. Hanyina ran inside as Jung Minjun locked the door. Hyung and his new friend said, as they walked towards the door. A few moments later, inside, Hanyina sweats as she pants, saying, ha ha ha, seductively. As Jung Minjun looks at her sitting on the floor, panting seductively, Jung Minjun looks at Hanyina's perfect feet and he says, hey, are you okay? Why are you here? And suddenly, Hanyina grabs Jung Minjun's shirt and she pulled him down and cried close to him. Jung Minjun sweats as he says, what in the world happened? As they sat there for a moment, Jung Minjun says, are you okay? As Hanyina releases him from her grip and says, aw, thanks, Jung Minjun. Honestly, if it weren't for you, I might have died. Jung Minjun blushes while looking at her drenched in sweat. Jung Minjun looks away and says, oh, that's a relief. Anyway, you're safe now, so... Hanyina looks at the window. She stands up and says, is it just you here right now? Jung Minjun says, Ada, my mom went out for work 3 days ago and hasn't been back since. I got through to her by chance and she seems to be okay. She said she met up with a military unit and evacuated to a safe place. Hanyina says, Taisi, glad to hear. Jung Minjun says, Hanyina, what about your parents? Hanyina says, I did get to talk to my dad one last time, and he sounded like he was safe at his workplace. As for my mom, both my mom and dad are doing fine. Anyway, if you have any water, could I get some? I haven't had a sip in days. Jung Minjun says, Cha. Ooh. Hanyina says, and if there's still power, can I charge my phone too? A few minutes later, Hanyina drank 3 bottles of Jung Minjun's water and continues to drink, while Jung Minjun looks at her sexy legs and feet. Jung Minjun says to himself in shock, seriously, how much water is she drinking? We're supposed to be rationing it. If the water gets cut off completely, freak. Then again, she probably risked her life just to get here. As Hanyina finishes drinking the water, Jung Minjun says, did you come here from your home? But why did you come to my place? Hanyina says, Shide, I've been hiding outside this whole time. One Jung Minjun, shocked, says to himself, huh? Hanyina looks far and says, 3 days ago, the day I ran into you near the apartment. Something happened that day, so I went home to change and stepped out for a bit. Suddenly, a zombie said, yay. Hanyina says, then it all started happening out of nowhere. A man running said, wah, run. A lady running said, kya. Hanyina says, Timai just kept running without thinking, as she was exhausted and panting seductively, saying, ha, ha, ha. Hanyina says, Ina and it ended up hiding in the stairwell of a nearby shopping complex. I waited, thinking someone might come rescue me, but no one did. Jung Minjun says, "But then, don't tell me. You stayed there the whole time. Alone?" Hanyena says, "There was one unlocked door by the stairwell. It led to a small meeting room or something like that. The inner door into the building wouldn't open, so I had no choice but to hide in there. Luckily, there was a water jug inside. I survived off of that. But by the third day, I hit my limit from thirst and hunger. Since it was less than 1 kilometer to my house anyway, I decided to make a run for it, hoping I'd meet a cop or a rescue worker along the way. As she looks at the streets, she was shocked as she saw zombies. And she sweats and says to herself, why'd it have to be this road? Guess I'll have to go through this alley." As she tries to walk silently, Hanyena says, That's how I ended up sneaking my way to your villa neighborhood." A few moments later, she says to herself, "This area, it's Jung Minjun's neighborhood," and she saw zombies ahead and said to herself, "To get back to my apartment, I had to pass through that side of town. I didn't have a choice. I needed to take this route. Looks like I'm getting close to Jung Minjun's house. I've been there once before, so I think I remember roughly where it is. I'm pretty sure I go through that alley over there. That Jung Minjun guy. Pretty sure he went home 3 days ago. He's probably still there, right?" Hanyena continues to tell her story, saying, Should I call them infected? Anyway, I kept dodging those zombie-like people and circled around until I ended up near your place." Jung Minjun said, I'm so glad. "But you're amazing too, for having the courage to come outside." Hanyena shakes her head and said, It's honestly such a relief that you were home. Ha! My hair's all matted and I feel gross. I'm sweating like crazy too." As she stood up and fixed her hair, Hanyena asked, "Is the water still running here by any chance?" Jung Minjun stared at her sexy armpits and froze. He then said, "Yeah, your armpits are totally soaked. You must have been sweating buckets. Shouldn't you change clothes? Want to borrow something of mine?" Hanyena blushes and was shocked and confused. Hanyena kicks Jung Minjun with her sexy feet and said, "Are you seriously insane? Freaking hell, you're every bit the loser I thought you were. Hey, you freaking son of a bee idiot. No wonder you get hit. Ooh, why? Hanyena took off her jacket and said, I don't even have the energy to cuss you out. Anyway, if the bathroom water's running, can I take a shower?" Jung Minjun said, Gee, go ahead." Hanyena said, "Thanks. I mean, freak, what's with that out of nowhere?" As Hanyena took a shower, Jung Minjun waited for a while, and he said to himself, "And anyway, what do I do now?" Originally, before Hanyena showed up, I was planning to go outside. But now that she's here, it'd feel wrong to just leave her and go on my own. And even if we keep waiting here, I only had enough food for one person for a month. If we both stay and wait for rescue, we'll cut our survival time in half. This is so freaking hopeless. But that Hanyena is taking a shower at my house, that's just as unbelievable as the zombie outbreak. Jung Minjun thinks of their time at school. As he walks the halls and saw Hanyena, Jung Minjun said to himself, Back at school, she wouldn't even make eye contact with me. She treated me like I was some kind of bug. Suddenly, Hanyena opens the door. Jung Minjun was shocked. Hanyena said, "Tay, Jung Minjun, lend me some clothes. I've been wearing the same ones for days. I should at least wash them." Jung Minjun said, and he jumps to his things and said, "Oh, of course, Want a t-shirt and pajama pants? Or maybe shorts, long pants?" Hanyena said, "Whatever, just give me something. You're short, so I think they'll fit okay." Jung Minjun gave Hanyena his shirt and looks away, blushing. Hanyena smells his shirt and said, "Ugh, freak. It smells musty. Hey, don't you have anything else?" Jung Minjun said, "Oh, well, I do, but they're probably just as bad." Hanyena said, "Forget it, I'll just wear this." A few moments later, Hanyena wears it and smells it like crazy. And she said, This gross smell is so unbearable. I'll just deal with it until my clothes dry. At least spray some Febreze or something." Jung Minjun sweats and said, I did wash them recently." Hanyena said, "And is this just what happens when you live in a semi-basement? I'm super sensitive to smells, so try to understand." So gross. But whatever, can't be helped, haha. Jung Minjun said to himself, Is she like this because of her personality? Or is she just that thoughtless? Seriously, she's worried about gross smells right now. A few moments later, outside, the zombies talk to each other, saying, Gra, ga. as Hanyena hangs her clothes to dry and she ate some of Jung Minjun's food. Hanyena said, "Hey, Che Jung Minjun." Sen Jung Minjun said, "Huh." Hanyena said, "What do we do now? There's nothing to do but stay here and wait for rescue, right?" Jung Minjun said, Honestly, right before you came, I was thinking of moving to a different location tomorrow." Hanyena said, "What? Are you insane? We still have food in here, so why risk going out? I nearly died just getting here, you know? And now you're saying you're gonna go right back out? I refuse to go." Jung Minjun said, "Minus no. I'm not saying I'm going now. I meant I was thinking about it before you showed up. Anyway, now that you're here, I guess we'll have to stick it out and wait for rescue, right?" Hanyena said, "Tenets minus then. What if we run out of food? What do we do then?" Jung Minjun said, "The only way to last as long as possible is to break into the upstairs or other houses to look for more supplies. But honestly, besides the rooftop room, I can't be 100% sure there aren't infected in the other places. And lately the screams from other buildings have been getting less and less. If we run out of food completely, then I guess we'll have to go outside." Hanyena was shocked and she said, "Minus no way. Out, no I can't, not there." Jung Minjun said, "But you couldn't hold out there either, right? If we run out of food, we'll have to go out eventually." Hanyena said, Minus let's think about that when the time comes. And you haven't even been outside, have you? Just stepping out of this neighborhood will change your mind real fast. Those zombie-like people are seriously dangerous. They're terrifying. I almost died just getting here from 1 kilometer away." Jung Minjun said, 1 kilometer is pretty far though. That's impressive. And if you manage to get here safely, then maybe you could manage to avoid them while moving around too." Hanyena said, "What? Hey, aren't you scared of those monsters?" Jung Minjun said, "And know as well as I do. Those people, they're just like zombies. We still need to learn more about them, but from what I saw through the window, if you get attacked and bitten, you end up like them. So it's likely you turn because of infection, right? Honestly, I don't even care if I get infected. Doesn't matter at all. I've got nothing to lose anyway." As Hanyena was silent, she then said, "Nth minus that's your situation. I want to survive. I refuse to end up like them. I'm supposed to study abroad in the US next year." Jung Minjun said, "So the key is to just avoid contact with them, right? You made it all the way here too, didn't you? You even said you didn't get spotted until right before reaching my place. And name one thing about those infected. They don't all rush in like they're trying to kill you. Depending on where they're hurt, some just walk toward you, and some look like they're collapsed, like they're dead. Also, their running speed's actually slower than a normal person sprinting. That means you and I can totally avoid them." As Hanyena sat down and listened, Jung Minjun said, "Then you ever played tag as a kid, right?" Hanyena, confused, said, "Ton tag?" Jung Minjun said, "You just have to think of it like a game of tag. That way dodging them might even feel a little exciting." Hanyena, not impressed, said, "Crazy bastard, calling this tag? What a freaking joke. I'm seriously scared, okay?" Jung Minjun said, "Smina sorry." Hanyena shows off her sexy foot near Jung Minjun and said, "Anyway, I'm gonna sleep. Can you lay out some blankets?" And she lay down and said, "Saying I haven't had a proper night's sleep in days. I'm starting to feel really sleepy." Jung Minjun said, A few moments later, Jung Minjun fixed his futon and put 2 pillows next to each other. Hanyena suddenly said, Hey, are you crazy? You trying to sleep next to me?" Jung Minjun, confused, said, "Huh?" Hanyena pointed outside of Jung Minjun's room and said, "He said you sleep over there." Jung Minjun, confused, looked out, and he looked back at Hanyena and said, "Hey, come on. This is my house, you know? Sleeping in front of the bathroom door is a bit much." Hanyena said, "What? Ha, fine, I get it." And she walked outside of Jung Minjun's room and said, "I forgot I'm just an uninvited guest. Must have lost my mind for a sec. Fine then, I'll sleep over there. You take the comfy spot." "Happy now?" Jung Minjun said. "Who?" Hanyena said, Never mind. I'll just sleep out on the bloody stairwell instead, ha. Sleep tight." Jung Minjun said, Hey, what's your problem? Jamina's just sleep here comfortably." Hanyena said, "No, it's your house, so you should sleep comfortably, okay? Don't worry about a random intruder like me. But that doesn't even mean going outside. The stairwell's dangerous if the door's open. This loser is so freaking hilarious. Kekeke. Hey, I'm kidding, Keke. I'll just sleep in the kitchen." Jung Minjun said, "Ochiminu si mean, then what does that make me?" "Fine, I'll sleep in the kitchen instead, huh?" "No, seriously, I'll sleep here. I was totally joking before. Minus but still. A few moments later, Jung Minjun at the kitchen looked at the ceiling, and he closed his eyes and said to himself, so this is how I end up losing anyway. I'll just sleep here alone. That's easier. Ha ha. Well, at least I am still inside the house, ha ha. Still, thanks to Hanyena, I'm not alone anymore. She does talk a lot, though. A few moments later, the zombies outside started to talk to each other, grunting and saying, grr, gra, gra, ra, guarg, ga. Hanyena, alone in the room, can't sleep, as she continues to hear the zombies outside. She then said, hey, Jung Minjun. Jung Minjun, confused, woke up, and he sits up. Hanyena said, just come in and sleep in the room. As Jung Minjun looks at the door, Hanyena said, it's scary being alone. A few moments later, Jung Minjun came inside his own room as he looks at Hanyena sleep. Hanyena said, this sound, I heard it countless times while hiding on the stairs, but it's still unfamiliar and terrifying. I miss Mom. As Jung Minjun listened silently, and the noises outside continued. A few hours later, the sun rose. As the zombies walked around, they groaned, saying, ugh, ugh, gurk. As Hanyena slept peacefully in Jung Minjun's futon, Jung Minjun stood up and said, how long is she going to sleep? She said she couldn't sleep because she was scared, yet she's really sleeping well. As he stared at Hanyena, a few hours later, Hanyena woke up and sat up, and she moaned seductively, saying, She looked at Jung Minjun and was confused. She then said, where are you going? Jung Minjun put on his jacket and said, I'm thinking of going back up to the rooftop. Hanyena said, and she stood up and said, hey, didn't you say you couldn't confirm if there were more infected up there? What if someone else is still there? Jung Minjun said, it'll be fine. If there is, I'll just avoid them. Do you want to come with me? Hanyena said. Are you crazy? Iminusi can't go? Jung Minjun said, then I'll go alone. You stay here. Hanyena said, A few moments later, Jung Minjun walked up the stairs. As Jung Minjun looked at the main door, he said to himself in shock, there's a crack in the glass. It won't last much longer. Well, even if it's covered with film, glass is still glass. As Jung Minjun walked forward, Hanyena said, and smells bad. Jung Minjun looked behind and was confused. Hanyena said, see, now I have a really bad feeling about this. Jung Minjun looked at her. A few moments later, at the rooftop, Jung Minjun looked at the bathroom of Hyung, and he sweated, saying to himself, it's the rooftop guy's girlfriend. She's not moving. Let's at least say a short prayer for her. A few moments later, Jung Minjun walked out of the room. Hanyena said, no one's inside? Jung Minjun said, well, there is. She's someone who already passed away. I think it's better not to go inside. Hanyena said, Jung Minjun sat down and said, if we want to ask for rescue, maybe we should light a fire here and create smoke or something. But we'd have to light it at the exact time a rescue helicopter passes by, Hanyena said. Then how about we prepare something to burn in advance, and as soon as we hear a helicopter, we light it up. Jung Minjun said, fire doesn't blaze up instantly, right? By the time it's ready, the helicopter might already be gone. Hanyena said, should we check nearby buildings to see if there are any other survivors? And she shouted, hello, is there anyone in the buildings nearby? Jung Minjun said, hey, what if the infected swarm here after hearing your voice? Hanyena said, they can't climb up here anyway, right? Jung Minjun said, won't you never know? The glass door at the building entrance was already cracked. Jung Minjun said to himself, and so, Hanyena and I had to continue surviving alone in this place. A few moments later, inside Jung Minjun's apartment, Hanyena said, hey Jung Minjun, what's your MBTI? Jung Minjun, confused, said, MBTI. I haven't done it. Hanyena said, what? You haven't done it yet? Wow, you're the first person I've ever met who hasn't done an MBTI test. Then you probably don't use Instagram either, huh? Totally seems like it, ha ha ha. Even if you do, I bet you don't even have 50 followers, ha ha. Then what the hell is your joy in life? You got no hobbies or? Jung Minjun said, aside from gaming. Hanyena said, on gaming, what kind of games do you play? Jung Minjun said, I play League of Legends and a few others. Lately, I've been playing this zombie game called Rage Z a lot. Hanyena said, so it's zombie game? LOL, that's insane, ha ha ha. I mean, now that the real world has become a zombie apocalypse, there's no need to play zombie games anymore. Ha ha ha, prift. Oh, but if you take the MBTI test, I bet 100% you'd be an NII. Introvert. Look at you. You're always playing games at home, eating alone. Even at school, you're always zoning out by yourself, haha. Someone like you could never be an NE. Extrovert kek. So are you a P or a JJ Jane? Do you like planning, or are you more spontaneous? Jung Minjin said, well, it's kind of hard to say. And he said to himself, wow, she talks so much. We could literally die tomorrow, yet here we are having this cute little convo. Han Yena said, Fate, hey, what do you think my MBTI is? Jung Minjin said, I'm not sure. I don't really know much about it. And he said to himself, she didn't even glance at me before the zombie outbreak. But I guess now I'm the only one she can talk to. Still, I ended up alone with the girl I used to have a crush on. Han Yena suddenly put her sexy foot at Jung Minjin's hands and said, hey, but like, why did you blah blah blah? Jung Minjin thought to himself, "'Tis this a good thing?" In the past, just the thought of chatting one-on-one with her like this, in the same place, even imagining it would have made me happy. Even though the world's gone to hell and we could die tomorrow, it wouldn't be surprising. Han Yena suddenly teased Jung Minjin while playing with Jung Minjin's chest with her sexy feet and said, Hey, Jung Minjin? Jung Minjin? Jung Minjin, still talking to himself, said, does any of this even mean anything anymore? Han Yena kicked Jung Minjin and said, Sir, are you ignoring me? Why aren't you answering? Jung Minjin snapped out of it and said, Huh? Sorry. I was just thinking about something else. Han Yena said, You're spacing out right in front of me? You crazy freaking loser. As the light outside shined through the window, Han Yena read the comic books of Jung Minjin. A few days later, Han Yena continued to read on the floor. Han Yena said, Jung Minjin, did you finish the laundry? Also, I'm hungry. As Jung Minjin did the laundry, he said to himself, Damn it. I swear I'm gonna leave her behind and escape on my own. What am I, Han Yena's slave? She should do her own damn laundry. As Jung Minjin, a classic MBTI type who absolutely never expresses his emotions outwardly, Jung Minjin said to himself, Now there's no electricity, so I have to wash clothes by hand. Thankfully, the tap still works, so there's enough water. But our emergency food supply is running dangerously low. A few moments later, Jung Minjin said to Han Yena, Hey, Han Yena, I'm heading out. Han Yena, confused, said, Huh? Don't be late today, okay? Be back within 30 minutes. If you make me wait again, you're dead meat. Seriously. Jung Minjin said, Oh, got it. And he said to himself, Damn it. As Jung Minjin opened the main door, he looked around and closed the main door, saying to himself, I patrol the neighborhood once a day. Of course, only through safe paths. After observing and studying the infected people over several days, I found that they behave very similarly to zombies. Like people with rabies, they attack living humans, but do not attack those who are dead or already infected. Possibly due to impaired vision, they don't notice you if you're more than 50 to 100 meters away. But this seems to vary from one infected to another. They are highly sensitive to sound, so it's crucial to stay quiet. Also during the day, the number of infected is about 2 to 3 times lower than at night. It seems like they move into shadows or corners during the day, and maybe they dislike sunlight. Because of that, you must never go outside at night. But these traits of the infected, the online game I used to play, maybe it's just my imagination, but aside from the setting, the behavior of the infected feels too similar to the ones in that game. Maybe it's because I was too immersed in that game until recently. It must just be a coincidence. There's no way, but if those infected are somehow related to that game, then this is only the beginning. And surely the end of the world will come. A few moments later, at Jung Minjin's building, Han Yena said, I've finished all the comic books. I'm bored out of my mind. And she looked at the clock. She said, that bastard Jung Minjin is late again. He's been listening to me less and less lately. I really need to train this guy better or something. And she looked at the window. She said to herself, the sound of a helicopter again today. But what's the use? As she remembered the other day. As a helicopter passed by, Han Yena shouted, Buenas someone, save me. Jung Minjin shouted, also saying, Over here. We're over here, Han Yena said to herself. Lighting a fire on the rooftop was pointless anyway. As the day passed, Han Yena looked at the clock, as she heard the sound of the clock ticking loudly from the silence. Han Yena sweated and frustrated said, That damn Jung Minjin, why isn't he coming back? As she bit her nails, she walked in circles and said, Minus, it's already been over an hour and a half since he left. Dominus, don't tell me something happened? Did he get attacked by the infected? Seriously. Just come back already. When he gets back, I swear I'll beat the crap out of him. Seriously, does this bastard only listen when he gets hit? Ugh. It's dangerous out there, so why does he keep going out? Starting tomorrow, if he tries to go out again, I'll break his legs if I have to. As the sun set outside, Hanyena sat down and worried. And she started to get frustrated and said, Jung Minjun, please, you're not dead, right? A few moments later, Hanyena looked at the candle and said, the sun's already set now. Didn't they say more infected come out after sunset? Don't tell me, he's not coming back anymore. Please come back soon. Please don't leave me alone. Suddenly, she heard the door open and immediately looked at the door. Jung Minjun came inside and said, Hey, Hanyena, look at this. Jung Minjun was shocked and confused as he looked at Hanyena, saying, Huh? Hanyena stood up silently while looking at Jung Minjun. Her eyes welling up with some tears, she said, Oh, you're 3 hours late, you crazy bastard. Do you really have a death wish? As Jung Minjun was shocked and confused, Hanyena suddenly raised her fist and was about to hit Jung Minjun, saying, Seriously, you need a beating to get your senses straight. Hanyena said, Wait a second. Look at this. And she took out a paper and said, Earlier, a helicopter dropped a ton of leaflets. I went all the way to where they landed to find them. That's why I'm late. Hanyena, confused, said, What? Leaflets? And she looked at the leaflets and was shocked and confused. She said, What is this? What the heck is this? Hanyena looked at the flyer and said, They are locking down Gangbuk? That is where we are right now. As it stated, the Gangbuk area is scheduled for lockdown. All survivors in Gangbuk must evacuate immediately by 6 o'clock in the evening on the 10th of the month. Evacuation locations, Gangnam, Gwacheon, Jibwa, Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasures Headquarters. Hanyena exclaimed, And it says tomorrow? No way. How can the whole city of Gangbuk just close like that? Jung Minjun replied, Look at the back. Safety status by Gangbuk area. Hanyena said, From back. Let me see. Qing'or neighborhood is Jeongbuk district. Jongmundong is labeled caution. It looks like our neighborhood has a lower infection rate compared to others. Moreover, it states that Yeongshandong is safe. Jung Minjun added, What is important is that areas near us, like Dongdaemun, Yongsan, and soon, it might reach a more serious level here too. Hanyena stood shocked. Jung Minjun continued, Staying here waiting for rescue was the worst choice. Hanyena, sweating, said, So we need to escape from Gangbuk immediately? Is that even possible now? I heard. Uijeongbu is also dangerous. Where exactly do they plan to lock down? Since they say Gangbuk, does that mean they are closing all of Gangbuk based on the Han River? Jung Minjun thought to himself, So there are quite a few infected in our neighborhood, but the infection rate is relatively low? Then how dangerous is a very dangerous area? If not, then that information must be nonsense. But in this situation, we have no choice but to believe it, he said aloud. If places like Nawan and Uijeongbu in the north are all in serious condition, then it is impossible to escape north of Seoul Gangbuk. In the end, we have no choice but to cross the Han River. To cross the Han River, the fastest way is through Yongsan or Dongdaemun to Songdong. But since it states that Yongsan and Songdong are also very dangerous, I guess we have to go around to the eastern area. Anyway, time is of the essence. As he took off his bag, he set it down and opened it. Fortunately, it says that Yeongshandong, which is not too far from here, is at a safe level, so it might be better to head there, even if we have to take a little detour. There must be a reason why the infection rate is low. Perhaps the police or military have set up barricades for management or something of the sort. Hanyena, still surprised, said, Wow, I thought you were a clueless goober, but you are smarter than I expected? Jung Minjun replied, And anyway, we have to leave here immediately. Hanyena protested, Tajet, just a moment. You are not seriously thinking about leaving right now, are you? It is dinner time now, is it not? Jung Minjun answered, If we want to avoid the infected, we have to go out tomorrow morning. Hanyena hesitated. Is it really possible for us to escape Gangbuk? No, even just get to Yeongshandong? Can we hold out for just a few more days? Before that, surely someone will come to rescue us. Jung Minjun shouted, Hanyena, if you want to die miserably in this basement, just stay here. I will leave when the sun rises tomorrow. Hanyena froze in shock. She covered her beautiful face and muttered, Fluff. All right, I should pack my stuff and food first, right? Do you have another bag? Jung Minjun said, Son, I have a small carrier bag left, but it might just get in the way. But next day, The sun rises, hitting the windows opening. Jung Minjun said, "All right. Then shall we go?" Han Yena groaned. "Ugh, yeah." Jung Minjun stopped and looked back at her. "But are you really okay not going to your dad's hospital? Sorry for asking again. You said your dad works at the hospital, right? Shouldn't you check if he is still there, or where he is?" Han Yena paused, thinking silently, then forced a smile. "Ah, it is fine, haha. Let us just go quickly. In the last time I talked to my dad, he said he took my mom and escaped from Gangbuk to a shelter safely. Happy?" Jung Minjun, sweating and confused, replied, "Huh? Now let's go," she said firmly. Jung Minjun thought to himself, "What is this?" A few moments later, outside, Jung Minjun sneaks ahead. He sees a zombie nearby. He gives Han Yena a thumbs up, and she runs toward him. As the zombies wander the streets, one groans, "Ugh," another murmurs, "Ugh." Jung Minjun whispered, "This way," Han Yena replied, "Yeah." Ishike. A few moments later, the streets are empty. They see a bus with a poster saying "Happy Birthday to Lumina." Han Yena said, "On any rate, it's surprisingly easy to move out at this time, isn't it? I must have been too tense when I went to your house. I was really scared back then." Jung Minjun said, "And sure you've figured it out by now, but just be careful when going to dark, shady places. There usually are not many infected where sunlight shines brightly. That said, it does not mean the infected will not attack at all, so never let your guard down." Han Yena said, "Yeah, but is Yeongcheondong really this far? Is it not close by?" Jung Minjun replied, "Just hang in there a little longer." Han Yena sighed, "Ha, there's a bicycle at my house. I should have brought it, or riding an electric scooter would be so convenient." Jung Minjun said, "Well, like you said, riding a bicycle or an electric scooter would let us move 3 to 4 times faster. The problem is that communication is down, so we cannot use shared scooters. Still, why does it seem like all the bicycles are gone? I cannot see any around." Han Yena said, "Hey, but can we take a 5-minute break? We're walking so fast. My legs hurt." Jung Minjun looked at her silently and said, "Huh," then he kept walking. "Then how about we go to a cafe and have a cup of coffee?" "I'll go ahead," Han Yena shouted. "This brat. Now that we have left the house, you are starting to get on my nerves, you know? Seriously, when we arrive at the safe zone, I will not let you off." Jung Minjun replied, "Be quiet. The infected will hear us." And then a few moments later, Han Yena asked, "How much longer until we reach Yeongcheondong?" Jung Minjun said, "We still have a bit further to go." Han Yena, shocked and confused, said, "What? You said we were almost there." Jung Minjun replied, "Not yet. Just hold on a bit longer." Jung Minjun thought to himself, as I walked while listening to Han Yena's complaints, avoiding the infected. Han Yena said, I'm so thirsty. Can I have some water?" She was teary-eyed. Jung Minjun, sweating, said, Water is precious. Drink it later." He thought to himself, I was becoming increasingly sensitive too. A few moments later, the road was blocked. Jung Minjun said, "They have set up a huge barricade, huh?" Han Yena said, "Whoa." Jung Minjun continued, "Anyway, from here on is Yeongcheondong, and if they have blocked off the neighborhood like that, it definitely looks safer than other places." Han Yena said, "Really? That's a relief. Could there be survivors? Let's check quickly." Jung Minjun said, "But if there's this level of barricade, shouldn't the survivors be guarding the area nearby?" Han Yena added, "See, and I have not seen any infected around here either. And there's less of that unique rotten smell too. Jung Minjun warned, "Just in case, do not let your guard down." Han Yena called out, Hey, Jung Minjun. Look over there. It looks like it would be perfect to hide inside. Should we rest there for a bit? I'm seriously tired from walking." Jung Minjun said, "There's no time for that. Stop exaggerating and come quickly." Han Yena shouted, "What? Exaggerating? That son of a biscuit." And a few moments later, Jung Minjun thought to himself, so, we came to the exact same situation as Chapter 0. Han Yena started to cry. Jung Minjun looked at her silently. She said, "Sorry." Jung Minjun, surprised, said, "Huh," Han Yena repeated. I said, "I'm sorry." Suddenly, zombies started running toward them. Jung Minjun shouted, "Shad behind!" Shh. Han Yena turned and saw them. A zombie shrieked, "Shar!" Han Yena screamed, "Ah!" Jung Minjun grabbed her delicate, soft wrist and pulled her as they ran. Han Yena shouted, "The heck! They said this neighborhood was safe." Jung Minjun yelled, "Just run away for now." Suddenly, they saw a man in the distance. Jung Minjun said, "Osa survivor?" The man called out, "Quickly, this way," Jung Minjun said. Thank you, the man added. I'll close it, so hurry inside. Jung Minjun said, no, I'll help. Han Yena looked back and shouted, Jung Minjun. Jung Minjun said, Shen Yena, you quickly hide. The man counted, all 1, 2, 3. The zombie roared, Psychar! It managed to grab the cabinet. The man yelled in panic, Heik, get away! Jung Minjun, sweating in shock, shouted, Mister! The zombie pushed the cabinet down and growled, Gra! The man suddenly ran, shouting, It's broken through! Run away! Han Yena screamed in fear, Hya! Jung Minjun yelled, But run to the back! As they ran, a white-collar zombie chased after them. Jung Minjun helped Han Yena climb the barricade. He said, We have to jump down. Han Yena, trembling, replied. Yeah, they jumped. Han Yena cried out in pain, Check ya! She looked at her ankle. Ah, my foot. It's sprained. Jung Minjun, confused, said, What? The zombies roared, Ah! 2 of them charged toward them. Jung Minjun's eyes widened. He remembered Han Yena's words before the outbreak, and seriously, you're so flipping frustrating too. If kids like Park Song-bin bully you, just fight back a little. If you have been hit like that, next time you will still get beat, but you should have the courage to stand up. Honestly, seeing a kid like you makes me feel so pathetic. You should at least have the courage to fight back, even if you are not good at anything. If you live like that, does life not feel miserable? Jung Minjun took out a knife from his jacket and thought to himself, Even if I die here. Han Yena was shocked and looked at him. Jung Minjun. He said to himself, Sai will not die just from running away miserably. As the zombies charged toward them, Jung Minjun stood his ground with the knife in hand. As the zombie was about to get near Jung Minjun and Han Yena, a motorcycle rushed toward them. Park Song-bin shouted, Get down! As Jung Minjun looked behind in shock, Park Song-bin hit the face of the zombie. His friend said, Nice shot. Park Song-bin's other friend on an electric scooter said, Hey, grab that rascal too. Park Song-bin shouted, Go down. Go down, you freaking son of a biscuit. His friend said, Hey, get the guy in the suit. Smash his skull in, fudge. Kikiki. Park Seong-bin said, Kia. That impact was insane, gosh darn it, Kikiki. I am telling you, riding a bike and swinging a bat is the peak of fun. Park Song-bin looked behind, confused, when he saw Han Yena and said, Huh? Yo, Han Yena, what are you doing here? Han Yena said, You. Park Song-bin replied, I wonder, who is this guy? Jung Minjun sweated in shock and said to himself, I am so done. Of all people. Park Song-bin said, Jung Minjun, you blockhead, why are you with Han Yena? Kekeke. Park Song-bin, 18 years old, Songgun High, 2nd year, Class 3. Jung Minjun said to himself, I just ran into someone I would rather avoid even more than the infected. As they silently looked at each other, Park Song-bin said, Oh? What is with the knife? Kekiki. Do not tell me you were planning to fight those things with that? Kekiki. I thought you were just a coward, but I guess I was wrong? Kekekekekeke. So you two just ran into each other? What a freaking random combo, Kekekeke. Han Yena said, Yeah, it kinda just happened. I honestly would have died if it were not for you guys. Gee, thanks. Park Song-bin said, Yo, Han Yena, Keke, I saved your life, Kek. Anyway, where were you heading, Yena? Come with us. We have got a hideout with like a dozen survivors. Han Yena said, Really? Is it safe? Park Song-bin said, Yeah, haha. There are adults there too, and it is locked down tight. Super safe. You do not need to worry. Han Yena said, But did you guys hear? They are shutting down Gang Book. Should we not get out of here now? Park Song-bin said, Hey, haha, too late for that already, Kekeke. Han Yena said, What is that supposed to mean? Park Song-bin said, It is a long story, so come to our hideout and we will explain. Can you ride on the back? Han Yena said, Thanks. Park Song-bin's friend said, Hey, if Han Yena is on the scooter, where am I riding? Park Song-bin said, You two can ride the kickboard together, Kiki. As Park Song-bin stared at Han Yena, he said, Kikiki. Hey, but seriously, is it okay to bring Han Yena with us, Kiki? His friend said, Gasp, Kekekeki, good point. Han Yena said, What do you mean? Park Song-bin said, Nothing, haha. Just get on, Kiki. Han Yena looked back at Jung Minjun and said, But what about Jung Minjun? He has got to come too. How are we bringing him? Park Song-bin said, That guy too? Park Song-bin's friend said, Yeah, what are we going to do about him? Just leave him? His other friend said, Will that guy not just slow us down? We have got to save food too, you know. Hey, Jung Minjun! Good luck surviving out here, Kiki. As Han silently sweated, Park Song-bin said, "No, let's take him too. Not like it hurts to have one more person." Jung Minjun said, "Forget it, I am not going." Park Song-bin said, "What?" Jung Minjun said, "I will handle things on my own. I have got somewhere I need to be." Han Yena sweated and said to herself, "Jung Minjun." As Jung Minjun walked away, Park Song-bin said, "Hey, hold up, this person ignoring me again, huh? You remember last time, right? If you ignore me again, I will really mess you up. The country is already in chaos, so I can take you out now, no problem. Understand? Want me to smash your head in just like I did to those zombie creeps earlier?" As Jung Minjun looked back at him, Park Song-bin said, "I am telling you nicely, get over here, you freaking nobody." Han Yena said, "Hey, Park Song-bin, are you out of your mind? What do you mean take him out? And you are the one who hit Minjun last time too, right?" Park Song-bin said, "Seriously, you have not changed a bit." Jung Minjun remembered what Park Song-bin had said before. "Yo, Changmin, if she comes with us, do you not think today is the perfect chance? Want to try something?" His friend said, "I saw her photos on social media. She looked crazy fine. Is she just as hot in person?" Park Song-bin smirked and said, "Yeah, total match, kek." His friend said, "Whoa, fudge. She is insanely hot then, kekekekeke." "But Park Song-bin, why are you even messing with her anyway?" Park Song-bin said, "Did not this guy already do something with her?" Kekeke. Poo ha 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 ha. As Jung Minjun silently listened in shock, in the present, he sweated while thinking about what they said before. Park Song-bin said to Han Yena, Sorry, kek. I was acting a bit too wild in front of Yena kekeke." Han Yena said, "If you do that again." Park Song-bin said, "Well, stop nagging me already." Jung Minjun said, "All right. Sorry, Song-bin. I will come with you." Park Song-bin looked at him in shock and said, "That is more like it, Minjun. Walking out of this neighborhood right now is basically suicide, you know? Kek, let us go to the hideout first. Rest up and I will ride you to your destination on the bike tomorrow, Kek. Sound good?" A few moments later at the streets, Park Song-bin said, "All right, this way." "You have been here before, right, Minjun?" Kekeke. Han Yena, confused, said, "Where even is this?" Jung Minjun said to himself in shock, "This is the way to that abandoned construction site where Park Song-bin always beat me up. They are using this as a hideout." A boy in a white shirt shouted, "Hey, blockhead, you left an opening over there." His friend responded, "Then go fix it yourself, blockhead." Jung Minjun whispered to Han Yena, "Han Yena." Han Yena looked at him, confused. Jung Minjun whispered, "Honestly, I do not think we should be going with these guys. We should take a chance and slip away." Han Yena, still confused, said, "What are you talking about?" Jung Minjun said, "I just get the feeling they are going to do something to us. Something about this does not feel right." Han Yena replied, "Hey, do not worry, kakaka. These guys are total pushovers, kakaka. And Park Song-bin has been my little lackey since elementary school. If he tries to hit you again, I will cover for you, okay? And anyway, there are other survivors and adults at the hideout, right?" Jung Minjun said, "And you are seriously believing that 100% like a fool? Han Yena, maybe they are just school friends to you. But I know what kind of guys they really are better than anyone. You still just see Park Song-bin as some classmate you grew up with?" Han Yena looked at Jung Minjun silently. Then she turned to Park Song-bin and said, "Park Song-bin." Park Song-bin looked back. Han Yena continued, "Look, we are just going to head back. I heard my parents are at the Seopyeong shelter, so I was planning to go there. And if we do not leave today, it will be too late." Park Song-bin said, "Huh, really? There is a shelter in Seopyeong? As far as I know, Seopyeong got completely wiped out. And why would you risk going off with that silly loser Jung Minjun, just the two of you? If you are going to go, just rest today and leave with us tomorrow, yeah?" Han Yena said, "Well, it is just kind of urgent. Anyway, we will get going now." As Han Yena looked back, she said, "Let's go." But the two friends of Park Song-bin stood behind them. A man in a blue sweatshirt blocked Han Yena's path with his bloody bat. Park Song-bin said, "Ha ha. Yena, I already told you, if you are going, go with us tomorrow. Or is there something going on between you and Jung Minjun? What the heck is going on with you two all of a sudden?" "Hey." Han Yena trembled and said, Park Song-bin." Then she gathered her courage and said, I am going. Are you seriously?" Jung Minjun said to himself, "Knew it. I figured this would happen." Then he said aloud, "All right, let's just go with them and talk it out. The sun is going to set soon anyway." Han Yena began to sweat even more. A few moments later, Park Song-bin continued walking ahead and arrived at the construction site. Jung Minjun said to himself, "This is definitely the place. They have built barricades on both sides to keep the infected out. Looks like they put in some effort. Still, it feels kind of slapped together. Jung Minjun looked at Han Yena, who was sweating. He gently tapped her stomach, and Han Yena looked at him, confused. Jung Minjun said, "Do not worry." He smiled at her and said to himself, "I will not leave your side." As Han Yena silently looked at Jung Minjun, suddenly, a zombie shouted, "Gah!" Han Yena was startled and said, "Kya!" "That scared me," the zombie groaned. "Gra! Ah!" One of the boys nearby shouted, "Wah!" Han Yena said, "What the heck? A, are you sure this place is safe? D, do something about it." Park Songbin said, "Ah man, you scare way too easily, ha ha ha. Just chill, there is no way they are breaking in, ha ha ha." Jung Minjun thought to himself, "What do you mean it will not break through? It looks like it could collapse any second. Now that I look closely, we are literally and completely surrounded by infected, aren't we?" The zombies outside shouted, "Grrr, rah, wah." Jung Minjun thought again, who builds a shelter in a place like this? Park Songbin said, "All right, come on, climb up here." Jung Minjun thought, so we are going up to the second floor using a ladder. I guess if they pull the ladder up, the infected cannot follow. As Jung Minjun climbed up the ladder, Park Songbin called out, "Brought them, elder brother." Jung Minjun froze in shock. Lee Bongyu said, "Eh, what is this?" "We have got new guests," Park Songbin said. "They are from our school, same class. You have heard of Han Yena, right?" Lee Bongyu said, "Ah, you are Han Yena? Nice to meet you. I am Bongyu Oppa." It was Lee Bongyu, 19 years old, runs several businesses. "I have been wanting to meet you, ha ha ha. And I followed you on social media. Why did you not accept my request?" Park Songbin said, "Remember I mentioned Bongyu Hyung before, right?" Han Yena said, Pretty sure that is my first time hearing that." She thought to herself, "Wha? Who is this pig-faced freak?" Lee Bongyu slowly stood up and said, "This place is totally safe, so just relax." Han Yena trembled and said, I heard they are shutting down Gangbuk soon, so staying here might be a bit." Lee Bongyu said, "Oh, that? Total nonsense, ha ha ha. I heard every road to Gangnam and across the Han River is already blocked off, ha ha ha. We are just going to have to tough it out here until rescue shows up, ha ha ha." Han Yena said, "Sorry." No way." Lee Bongyu said, "Honestly, even if no rescue comes, we are set up well enough to eat and sleep just fine here, ha ha ha. Pretty sweet, right? Ha 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 ha." Jung Minjun looked around. Camping gear was set up, fuel, wood, and logs for fire, and the stairs were blocked. He thought to himself, they seriously put all this together themselves? No way. Did they just break into someone else's shelter that was already here? Lee Bongyu said, "Did you find anything today?" Park Songbin replied, "I was going to check the store, but we ran into these guys on the way, so we did not make it." Lee Bongyu grinned and said, Yo, turned out great. We have already got more than enough food, but bringing a girl? That is a total score, ha ha ha. Pooh ha, ha ha ha." Han Yena sweated and thought to herself, Shoot. Jung Minjun was right. I totally got played by this sorry excuse for a person, Park Songbin. She tapped Park Songbin's back and said, "Hey, Park Songbin, can we talk for a second?" Park Songbin looked back and said, They walked to the back. Park Songbin asked, "What is it, Yena?" Han Yena said, "Seriously, knock it off already. Can you just let me go back? I honestly did not know it was going to be like this. You know I hate this kind of atmosphere, especially the people you hang out with. I am really sorry, but I do not think I can stay here. And honestly, I do not believe all that stuff about the Han River Bridge being shut down either. I think I just need to keep going where I was heading. I am going back." As she walked away, suddenly Park Songbin grabbed her delicate wrist. Han Yena called out, "Jung Minjun, let's go back." Park Seongbin said, "Hey." Han Yena, shocked, looked back. Park Seongbin said, "You lady dog, you think you can just leave? You still think the world works however you want it to, huh?" Han Yena trembled as she began to sweat. You. Suddenly, Jung Minjun grabbed Park Songbin's arm and said, let it go." Park Songbin was shocked. Ha! This clueless loser Jung Minjun has finally lost it, huh? He took off his smelly jacket. Park Songbin said to Han Yena, "You still think the world works however you want it to, huh?" Han Yena trembled in fear and said, You. Jung Minjun suddenly grabbed Park Songbin's wrist and said, Let it go," as he sweated. Park Songbin was confused and said, "Ha! This fool Jung Minjun. You have finally lost it, huh?" As the zombies downstairs walked around, Park Songbin said to Jung Minjun, "Hey, you clown. What if I do not want to stop? What are you going to do, huh? Are you going to stab me with that knife from earlier? Han Yena said, Park Songbin, that is enough. Park Songbin said, what? Now that it is happening, you cannot do it. Come on, stab me, you pathetic coward. Lee Bongyu said, hey, what is going on here? Park Songbin said, Hyung. Ha ha. Yena says it is kind of gross in here since it is not indoors like she expected. Hey. Lee Bongyu said, It is fine. You will be sleeping inside the tent anyway. Lee Bongyu added, also this silly guy Jung Minjun is carrying a kitchen knife. I told him to hand it over, but he will not give it up. Lee Bongyu continued, what? You four-eyed little rascal. You were carrying something that dangerous? Hand it over, clown, unless you want your face smashed in. Jung Minjun said to himself, I cannot let them take my only weapon, but there is no way I can take all 5 of them on my own with just this. He handed over the kitchen knife. The second in command said, hey, Four Eyes, listen up. Bongyu is the boss here, and I am his second in command. If we were the army, Park Songbin would be like what, a squad leader? Anyway, the point is, if you do not listen, you are doomed. This country is in a state of emergency. Without a proper chain of command, this place goes to chaos. Got that? 2 warnings and you are done for. Young Minjun said, yes. And he thought to himself, what a load of absolute nonsense. These jerks. Lee Bongyu suddenly put his arm around Han Yena and said, Yena, you must be tired from the trip, right? Go get some rest in the tent. Han Yena was startled and said, dang, that scared me. Lee Bongyu said, what was that? Did you just say dang? Han Yena said, no, I was just startled. I have kind of been in panic mode for the last few days. Lee Bongyu said, well, I guess that is fair with those zombie freaks out there. Anyway, my tent is a deluxe full-on camping tent, haha. The mat is super soft and cozy too, you know. Go on and get some rest. Han Yena said to herself, this guy is a complete psycho. I have got to think fast and buy some time. Han Yena said, sorry, but, Oppa, I am really hungry. Could I maybe eat something? Lee Bongyu said, you are hungry? Dang, Yena is hungry. Of course we have to eat. We scored a ton of pork belly from the butcher shop. As Jung Minjun sweated silently, Lee Bongyu said, should we have a pork belly party tonight? The others cheered. Whoa! Jung Minjun said to himself, this is the worst. This place has no police. It is basically a lawless zone with no safety at all. Han Yena said, crap. Hold on. As Lee Bongyu held Han Yena's delicate shoulder, Lee Bongyu said, sorry, haha. Dang, Yena, you are so unbelievably cute. Jung Minjun said to himself, especially for Han Yena. These thugs are just as dangerous as the infected. That fat pig is definitely not going to leave her alone. She could be in danger any minute. I have to think. I need to find a way to get her out of here, right now. Should I lure the infected here and throw these guys into a panic? No. But then what about the other survivors? And I cannot be sure those 3 older survivors are totally trustworthy either. Maybe tonight, when everyone's asleep, that's when we should escape. If those bastards do anything to Han Yena by force before I act, darn it. A few moments later, some pork is being cooked on a grill. Lee Bongyu said, I'm going to eat next to our cute little Yena. Han Yena said, Kaya! You smell like pig! Lee Bongyu, confused, said, what? Han Yena said, no. I meant the pork belly smells amazing. Wow, looks delicious too. Heh. Lee Bongyu said, yeah, it smells good enough to make you curse, Second in command said, that pork belly smell hits hard, A few moments later, second in command hands over the fatty parts of the pork to Jung Minjun. He said, hey, Four Eyes, take this meat to those older guys. Jung Minjun said, Jung Minjun sweats and thinks to himself, just a few pieces? That is too stingy. I should give them some of mine too. As he walked toward the old guys, Jung Minjun said, The old guys looked at Jung Minjun, confused. Jung Minjun said, it is not much, but please have this. An old guy sweated and said, thanks, kid. A few moments later at night, while some wood burns for heat and light, Jung Minjun and Han Yena sit together on the floor. Lee Bongyu suddenly called, Yena, why do you keep staying there? Come here and relax with us. Han Yena said, do not wanna. Lee Bongyu said, it is already bedtime. Han Yena sweated and said, I will just sleep out here by myself. She thought to herself, I will have to sneak out while they are all sleeping. Lee Bongyu stood up and said, ugh, freak, you have been acting cold this whole time, have you not? If you keep this up, what does that make me? Park Songbin stood up and said, hey. That is enough, Young. Lee Bong-yu was shocked and confused. He said, "What?" Park Song-bin said, "You did not hear me? I said back off, you silly coward." Lee Bong-yu said, "Park Song-bin, you son of a brat. Are you crazy? Did you get shot in the head or something, dumb freak?" Second in command said, "Hey, what the heck? Park Song-bin, what are you doing?" Park Song-bin said, freak. Ever since I ended up stuck here with you Bong-yu, I decided I would kill you first, haha. Forget the young crap, you piece of trash. I am the boss now, haha. Lee Bong-yu shouted, "You brat!" He tries to punch Park Song-bin but misses. Park Song-bin suddenly goes behind Lee Bong-yu and puts him in a chokehold. Lee Bong-yu groans in pain. Park Song-bin said, "Just die, you worthless pig." Second in command shouted, Park Song-bin, are you out of your mind, you mother freaker?" Yom-tong hits him with a golf club. Second in command cried out in pain, "Gook!" Park Song-bin said to his friends, "Kill him. Kill them both, those freaks." Lee Bong-yu groaned, "Gah! Gwah!" He struggles to breathe while second in command is beaten by the others. An old man said, What the heck is going on? Should someone stop them?" Jung Minjun and Han Yena watched from a distance. Jung Minjun said to himself, "This is it." He said to Han Yena, "Now is our chance." Park Song-bin heard him and was shocked as he saw Jung Minjun and Han Yena running away. He said to his friends, "Get those brats." One of them in a blue hoodie grabs Han Yena's jacket. Han Yena said, "Kya!" Jung Minjun looks back and says, Han Yena." Han Yena struggles and says, Let go of me." The one in the blue hoodie says, "Stay still if you do not want to die, you freak. I said do not move unless you want to get stabbed." Han Yena bites his arm. The guy in the blue hoodie screams like a child, you." Han Yena runs away. The guy shouts, "You silly brat." He tries to stab Han Yena from behind, but Jung Minjun suddenly grabs his arm. Han Yena looks back while Jung Minjun protects her and says, Jung Minjun?" The one in the hoodie sweats and says, This little mother freaker. Where does a loser freak like you think you get off?" He kicked Jung Minjun in the stomach. Jung Minjun shouted in pain, "Gah!" Their friend in a blue hoodie slashed Jung Minjun, dropping the knife as blood splattered on the ground. Han Yena, shocked, said, "Ju." She saw Jung Minjun wounded. Jung Minjun muttered in confusion, "Ah." Han Yena shouted, "Jung Minjun." Yom-tang kicked Jung Minjun and yelled, "You worthless punk! You want to go?" The friend in the blue hoodie shouted, "You jerk!" They all started beating Jung Minjun. Han Yena screamed like a terrified girl, "Kia!" Park Song-bin suddenly grabbed Han Yena's delicate wrist and said, Hey. You know, Han Yena, I've been into you since middle school. Every other girl gave in so easily. Heh. But you were the only one who didn't, huh? What? You act all high and mighty because your family's rich or something? Han Yena, terrified, whispered, Park Song-bin?" Park Song-bin sneered, "Playing Queen Bee in that stuck-up school district your Dr. Daddy forced you into. You had fun, didn't you? I'm doing just fine too, you know. I've got money, I eat well, I live well, better clothes, better body. I've got nothing to be ashamed of. So why the heck are you always acting so above me, huh? Let's see what our fancy little Yena tastes like." He smiled like a maniac. Han Yena screamed, "Kya!" An old man shouted, "Hey, kick it!" "No matter what's going on, you can't just..." Park Song-bin kicked the old man and cursed, "Get lost already." The old man groaned in pain, "Gah!" He collapsed, groaning, "Ugh." One of his friends cried out, Manager Kim, are you okay?" Park Song-bin shouted, "Hey, old man, I warned you last time. I told you, act like a bossy old goat again, and I'd take you out. That's warning number 2. Time for you to go." He suddenly grabbed Manager Kim and hurled him out. Manager Kim screamed in terror, Trey!" Han Yena stood frozen, sweating, watching in horror. Manager Kim fell to the first floor, groaning in agony. "Ah! Gah!" Zombies suddenly rushed at him, growling, "Gah!" Manager Kim cried out, "Please, help me." Han Yena screamed, "Ah!" One of Manager Kim's friends shouted, What the heck are you doing? You threw him down to the first floor." Another friend said, "Are you insane? You maniac?" Park Song-bin barked, "Hey, take care of the other geezers too." The friend in the blue hoodie stammered, What do you mean?" Park Song-bin screamed, "What else?" "Toss everyone except Han Yena down to the first floor." The old men screamed in pain, Please spare me." "Gah!" Han Yena rushed to Jung Minjun and cried, "Jung Minjun, are you okay?" She said in panic, "Hurry, run." Park Song-bin suddenly said, "Where do you think you're going, Yena? It's hell out there. You're staying here with me, got it?" Han Yena screamed, "Kya! Well, let me go." The friend in the blue hoodie approached Jung Minjin and said, "Whew, Jung Minjin, I guess it's your turn to die now, you pathetic little loser. Yeah, I actually kind of felt bad for you. But hey, who asked you to act tough, huh? Yo, Yomtang, help me toss this guy too." He grabbed Jung Minjin. He grumbled, "Ugh, I thought this guy was a stick, but he's heavy as heck." Yomtang said, "All right, 1, 2. The friend in the hoodie said 3. Suddenly, Jung Minjin grabbed the hoodie and growled, "You're coming with me, you twisted jerk." The friend in the hoodie was shocked, huh? They both fell from the second floor. Jung Minjin shouted, "To hell." Han Yena screamed, "Ah!" as Park Songbin stood there, shocked and confused, looking at his friend. Yomtang shouted, "Songyeon!" Park Songbin asked Yomtang, What happened?" Yomtang replied, "Kim Songyeon fell to the first floor with Jung Minjin." Park Songbin exclaimed, "That dumb fool." Suddenly, an old man shouted, "Ah, someone save me!" A zombie growled, "Her." The old man screamed in pain, "Ah!" Meanwhile, Jung Minjin and Kim Songyeon were lying motionless on the ground. Kim Songyeon groaned in pain, saying, "Gah, kya." He tried to move and cried out, "Gah, fudge." He looked around in confusion and muttered, "Huh." Upon seeing his foot twisted in another direction, he stammered, That, why is my leg like this?" Jung Minjin slowly stood up. Kim Songyeon gasped, "Jung Minjin." Suddenly, he grabbed Jung Minjin's leg and, sweating in pain, said, Jung Minjin, you fool. Where are you trying to go? Fudge. My leg seems to be broken because of you. Suddenly, the old man, now a zombie, lunged at Kim Songyeon as he uttered his final plea to Jung Minjin, "Please, help me, Minjin." Liquid splattered on the ground as Kim Songyeon screamed in agony, "Ah!" Yomtang was shocked and sweating as he said, "Oh, fudge. What should we do?" Park Songbin stammered, I do not know. Just leave that jerk." Han Yena stood frozen in shock, sweating. She suddenly spotted an opportunity and ran away. Park Songbin noticed and stared, shocked and confused. He immediately sprinted after her, shouting, "Fudge!" Han Yena jumped onto a scaffolding and then leapt to another platform. Park Songbin yelled, "Han Yena, are you not going to stop?" Han Yena looked back in shock at Park Songbin. In frustration, he muttered, "Urgh. How dare you try to run away, you witch?" Han Yena continued to move forward cautiously. Park Songbin shouted, "Hey, you crazy witch! There are zombies crawling around. Where are you trying to go?" Han Yena saw another platform ahead. Park Songbin shouted, "Just wait until I catch you." Han Yena silently sweated, then started running. She jumped onto a shipping container. Upon landing, she cried out, "Ah!" She turned to look back at Park Songbin. Park Songbin laughed and said, "Crazy witch. Shh, ha ha ha." As he moved forward, he leaped onto another platform and said, "You managed to escape, huh? If you get caught by me." Suddenly, the box beneath him shifted under his weight. He looked down at it in confusion and said, "Huh?" The box fell. He crashed to the ground and groaned in pain. "Cook!" Han Yena looked down in shock and muttered to herself, Now's my chance." She then shouted at the top of her lungs to attract the nearby zombies. "Oh, over here. This way, this way." The zombies turned toward her direction. One zombie growled in confusion, "Gah!" Han Yena kept yelling, "Everyone, come this way." Park Songbin stared up at her in shock. She continued shouting, There's a mean son of a gun here. Can someone please catch him? Ah!" Park Songbin started sweating in fear and muttered, "Han Yena, you!" He screamed in frustration, "You damned witch! I am definitely going to end you." His scream drew the attention of nearby zombies. One snarled, "Ka!" Park Songbin looked toward the sound in fear. Suddenly, the zombies sprinted toward him, growling, "Oh, Kubek!" Park Songbin immediately turned and ran, yelling, "Fudge!" A zombie screamed, "Queek!" Another growled, "Kiog!" Park Songbin shouted, "Arrgh! Gee! Get away from me, you jerks." Han Yena looked around and said to herself, "Where's Jung Minjin? Please, thump. He has to be safe." A zombie groaned. "Gah!" Park Songbin shouted, "Ah! Save me!" Han Yena saw Jung Minjin limping in the dark and said, "Jung Minjin, he's safe? What a relief. Here, over here." As Jung Minjin limped toward Han Yena's direction, he said in exhaustion, "Hoo, ha." Han Yena said, "See, can you come up?" Jung Minjin, weak and slow, held onto the container. He grunted in pain while climbing, saying, "Urgh." "Kyuk," Han Yena whispered. "Just a little more, please." She patiently waited for Jung Minjin to climb up the container. Then she grabbed his arm and pulled him up, saying, Jung Min-jun said in pain, "Cuk," as he tried to climb. Eventually, he managed to get up, breathing heavily. Ha ha. Han-yena said, Is your injury okay? Did you get bitten by the infected? Jung Min-jun said weakly, "Fortunately, I managed to avoid them, but I feel so dizzy." Yeomtang suddenly shouted at them, "Hey, you foolish jerks, where did Park Songbin go?" Jung Min-jun and Han-yena looked at Yeomtang. Yeomtang shouted, "Just wait right there, you fool." Jung Min-jun said, We have to hurry and escape." Han-yena said, "Ugh, yeah." As they turned away, Han-yena asked Jung Min-jun, "See, can you run?" Jung Min-jun replied, "Do not worry about me, just run well yourself." They jumped to the ground. Han-yena cried out in pain, "Ah!" Jung Min-jun said, in more pain, "Cuk." Han-yena stood up and asked Jung Min-jun, Are you okay?" Jung Min-jun, still in pain, said, Han-yena helped Jung Min-jun up and supported him as they walked, saying, "Just a little more." Park Songbin continued to shout, Save me, Ka! Jung Min-jun and Han-yena walked down a dark path. Park Songbin screamed like a little girl, "Ka!" A zombie groaned, "Gah!" Jung Min-jun and Han-yena continued to walk slowly. Han-yena said, There must be infected people nearby. As expected, it is too dangerous at night." Jung Min-jun, sweating in pain, said, "Han-yena, if we get spotted by the infected, no, even now, you should run away by yourself." Han-yena said in shock, What are you saying?" "I will find somewhere to hide somehow." She added, I will save you no matter what." A few moments later, Han-yena said, "This way does not seem to smell, so the infected might not be here." They walked into a quiet alley. Jung Min-jun, exhausted, said, Ha. Han-yena, sweating, said, Huh. She saw an open door. A few moments later, they entered. Han-yena looked around and whispered, "I do not feel any presence at all. There's no one, right?" She helped Jung Min-jun and said, "Let's take a short rest here." Jung Min-jun groaned in pain, Then he lay down on the ground. Han-yena called out, "Jung Min-jun." She looked at him and said, "Please, be safe." Jung Min-jun, in pain, said, Ha. As Han-yena watched Jung Min-jun, tears formed in her eyes. She whispered, "I was wrong. If it were not for me, you could have stayed at your house. Because of me, I attracted the infected and got you into danger. Because of me, you got dragged to a construction site and ended up like this. Because of me, you suffered at school." She grabbed onto Jung Min-jun's hoodie and continued, "Please." Suddenly, she heard footsteps and looked back in confusion and shock. As the footsteps grew louder, she saw a shadow coming near them. She said to herself, Who could it be?" Suddenly, a man with an axe was shocked and startled when he saw Han-yena. He began to sweat and said, What the? It's a person?" His friend said, "Gosh, you scared me." Then he noticed Han-yena and said in confusion, Aren't you the one from back then?" Han-yena, also confused, replied, As she remembered the man who helped them 2 days ago, she said to herself, "That's the guy who helped us back then." The man then said, "No way, you guys, you're alive." Han-yena replied, "You're safe too, sir." The man in the black jacket said, Is this boy hurt?" Han-yena said, He's bleeding." The man in the black jacket said, "Don't tell me he got bitten by the infected." Han-yena said, No, he wasn't bitten. He was stabbed with a knife. Please help. He's losing too much blood." The man in the green jacket, sweating, said, "Oh no. Do we still have the first aid kit?" The man in the black jacket said, "Yeah, it should be in the backpack." The man in the green jacket turned to Han-yena and asked, "Are you all right?" "Yes, I'm fine." Thank you." As the man in the black jacket moved behind Han-yena, suddenly he grabbed her from behind. Han-yena struggled, trying to shout, "Oomph! Oomph!" The man in the black jacket laughed maniacally. "Wah-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha! What a jackpot!" The man in the green jacket panicked. "What do we do now?" As another man walked in the shadows, the man in the black jacket said, "What do you mean, what? We drag her with us." Han-yena continued to struggle. The man in the black jacket growled, "Ugh, darn, but she is putting up quite a fight." The man in the green jacket said, "Then beat her until she passes out." A voice then interrupted, "Enough." The man in the green jacket, the man in the black jacket, and Han-yena turned in confusion to see Kang Hakcheol. Kang Hakcheol said coldly, "You've got until the count of 3 to back off." The man in the green jacket asked, "What should we do about that guy?" The man in the black jacket said, "Kill him." The man in the green jacket charged at Kang Hakcheol. Kang Hakcheol dropped his baseball bat named Luciel and drew a knife. As the man in the green jacket swung his pickaxe, Kang Hakcheol ducked and slashed the man's disfigured face. The man cried out in pain, "Gah! Chigah! Gah!" As he struggled to breathe. The man in the black jacket shouted, "We you jerk! D! Don't move! Oh, one wrong move, and I'll snap this girl's neck." Kang Hakcheol raised his knife and threw it like a professional assassin. The blade struck the man in the black jacket, ending his life. He muttered in pain, "Gah! Gah!" Hanyena gasped, You, Kang Hakcheol." It was Kang Hakcheol, 18 years old, Songun High, second year, class 3, a defector from North Korea. The hallway fell silent. A few moments later, Kang Hakcheol took out the medical kit and said, "Thankfully, the wound is not deep. He'll be fine." As young Minjun rested, Kang Hakcheol observed, "Looks more like he collapsed from being beaten or shocked rather than from blood loss. He will need at least a day of complete rest." Hanyena said, "Thank you, B. But you're really good at this kind of treatment. Where did you learn it?" Kang Hakcheol said, "Just sort of picked it up back in the day." Hanyena said, "B. But if you know how to do stitches like that, it is more than just basic knowledge, is it not?" Kang Hakcheol replied, "More importantly, this area is really dangerous. So what were you doing here?" Hanyena said, We saw a flyer drop by a helicopter. One of the safe zones listed was Yongchon neighborhood, so we came here. But we ended up getting caught by Park Songbin's group." Kang Hakcheol said, "Park Songbin? That abandoned construction site?" Hanyena said, "Huh, you know about it?" Kang Hakcheol said, "Yeah, roughly. So what about him now?" Hanyena said, "Last time I escaped from that place, everyone was getting bitten. It was total chaos. Park Songbin was also running from the infected, but I did not see what happened to him after that." Kang Hakcheol said, "So he might still be alive. About Yongchon neighborhood being a safe zone, it is nothing more than a rumor now." As he cleans his pocket knife, Kang Hakcheol continued, "Early on, after Seoul went to ruin, the people who stayed in this area tried all kinds of ways to keep the infection from spreading. Up until just a few days ago, infected were rare here, but the system was not well organized, and now it is collapsing. As of yesterday, the infected have started showing up rapidly again. And now, this place is crawling with people even crazier than the infected, especially someone like you, a young woman. People like you do not even show their faces outside anymore." Hanyena was shocked and confused as she sweated. Kang Hakcheol said, "If you are walking around unguarded and get kidnapped, there is no telling what could happen, so you have to be careful. It is not just the Yongchon neighborhood. Most of Gangbuk is practically a lawless zone now. Honestly, if things keep going this way, other areas, and even all of Seoul might end up like this." Hanyena said, "Nin, no way. But why are you here, Mr. Kang Hakcheol?" Kang Hakcheol said, "I have got my reasons. I was planning to cross into Gangnam at sunrise tomorrow." Hanyena said, "Huh? Really? Ah, right. Mr. Kang Hakcheol, you heard about it too, did you not? That Gangbuk is getting sealed off." "Ah, right. The flyer said the lockdown starts today." Kang Hakcheol said, "Yeah, but the situation has gotten even worse. Outside, the zombies made chaotic sounds, ga, wa, ra." Kang Hakcheol said, "I do not know if all of Gangbuk is locked down completely, but the bridges to Gangnam have been blocked since at least 2 days ago. And on top of that, there are so many infected near the bridges in Han River Park that it is basically impossible to even approach. The moment this all started, people panicked like it was a war and rushed south. Then the government suddenly sealed the bridges, and eventually everything went to chaos. That whole process caused a massive buildup of infected near the Han River." Hanyena said, "Hetch! How do you know all of that?" Kang Hakcheol said, "I heard it from survivors who went to check the bridges themselves. They even showed photo evidence, so it is solid." Hanyena said, "So, that was all true," Kang Hakcheol said. "But it is not like there is no way across. If we can get a duck boat or a small boat, we might be able to cross the river somehow. Of course, we would have to avoid all the infected out there." Hanyena said, "But, are we even sure Gangnam is actually safe? Last I heard, infected have been popping up not just in Seoul but all over the country." Kang Hakcheol said, "There is no guarantee that Gangnam is 100% safe. Still, my little sister was moved to a shelter in Gangnam, so I have to make it there no matter what." Hanyena said, "Your sister is at the Gangnam shelter? How did you end up separated?" Kang Hakcheol said, "The day after everything started, my sister, my uncle, and I fled to a nearby temporary shelter. Not long after, a military unit arrived. They said Gangbuk was too dangerous, and they would be moving some survivors elsewhere, but they were only taking the elderly and children first, so I had to stay behind. A soldier said, "We are moving the elderly and children first. Please wait here, we will come back soon." Kang Hakcheol's sister said, "Oh, Oppa!" Kang Hakcheol sweated and shouted, "Wait, please, what? Where are you taking my sister?" The soldier replied, "To the Gangnam shelter." Kang Hakcheol said in the present, "But the military never came back after that." Han Yena said, Then, what about your uncle?" As people screamed, "Kya! Ah! Run!" Kang Hakcheol continued, "Not long after that, an infected appeared inside the shelter, and everything turned into total chaos. My uncle and I tried to escape, but, in the end, my uncle, that is how it happened." Han Yena sweated and said, "Ah." Kang Hakcheol stood up and said, "Anyway, I am leaving at sunrise. If I delay even a single day, it will get a lot worse." Han Yena, shocked and confused, said, "What? You are leaving at sunrise?" Han Yena said, "Wait, can you take us with you too? We were planning to go to Gangnam as well." Kang Hakcheol said, "No can do. From my experience, moving with more than 3 people is too dangerous. The more people there are, the more unexpected problems will occur. At least one of us would probably end up dead. Besides, Jung Minjun needs at least 1 day of rest." Though calling it rest in this situation sounds ridiculous, Han Yena said, Please, I am begging you. I heard Minjun's mother is in Gangnam too. We have to get there somehow." Honestly, with just the 2 of us, we have no idea what we are doing. We have no clue how we are even supposed to escape from here. Please, I will even beg like this if I have to." As Kang Hakcheol looks at her silently while she begs and kneels, Kang Hakcheol said, "You have really changed a lot, Han Yena." Han Yena looked confused. Kang Hakcheol said, "While we were classmates, I honestly did not know much about you, but you seem really different from how you were at school." Kang Hakcheol walked away with his bag and said, "Anyway, let's talk again after sunrise, once Jung Minjun wakes up. Get some rest." Han Yena said, "Thank you." A few moments later, as the sun rises, Jung Minjun and Han Yena rest quietly. Kang Hakcheol said, "Han Yena." As Han Yena mumbled while waking up, she sat up and said in confusion, "Huh?" Kang Hakcheol said, "When you escaped from that construction site, you did not actually confirm what happened to Park Songbin, right?" Han Yena said, Yeah. "But why?" Kang Hakcheol said, "I am thinking of going back there for a bit." Han Yena said, "What?" Kang Hakcheol said, "And if their scooter or kickboard is still there, I might as well bring it back. Plus, there are a few things I need to check." Han Yena said, "Hey, can you just not go back there? The barricades must have collapsed and it is probably crawling with infected too. Most of the people who were there probably got infected already, and Park Songbin must have been attacked too. If something happens to you as well." As Kang Hakcheol smirked, he said, "The construction site is only about 300 meters from here. Want me to tell you something? You know how I escaped North Korea with my younger siblings when I was 12? 10,000 kilometers. Han Yena sweated in shock and confusion. Kang Hakcheol said, "A broker? That was a luxury we could not afford. We had only one uncle who had already defected to South Korea to rely on, and we crossed the Tumen River like surveillance-deep ghosts, avoiding patrols inside North Korea. Without any broker, hiding from police and checkpoints, we crossed China, passed through Laos, and made it to Thailand. It took 2 years to cross 10,000 kilometers and escape. Though I did lose one younger brother along the way. When Jung Minjun wakes up, just focus on taking care of him. I will be back." As Kang Hakcheol went outside, a few moments later, he quietly climbed the barrier. As he successfully climbed over the barrier, Kang Hakcheol said, "All right then, let us go see whether that rascal Park Songbin is dead or still alive." Back in the room, Jung Minjun remained asleep. Suddenly, he groaned and said, "Ugh." As Miss Han Yena patiently waited for Jung Minjun to wake up, she was shocked. Han Yena stood up and said, You're awake?" Jung Minjun sat up and said, Where are we?" Han Yena said with her mouth wide open, "Mr. Kang Hakcheol treated you." Jung Minjun, confused, looked at Han Yena, her mouth still wide open, and said, "Kang Hakcheol." "Kang Hakcheol from our class?" Han Yena said, "Yeah. I ran into him by chance after we escaped the construction site." Jung Minjun said, "But I'm sure at the site. After I fell from the 2nd floor with Kim Sung-yeon. I don't really remember. Maybe it's the concussion. I vaguely remember you helping me and us going somewhere." Han Yena grabbed Jung Minjun's hands and said, "Anyway, I'm so relieved." Jung Minjun, still confused, said, "Huh?" Han Yena said with teary eyes, Do you know how scared I was, thinking you might die? As she placed Jung Minjun's hands close to her soft, large chest, Jung Minjun blushed and said, "Ah." As they stared at each other for quite some time, Han Yena said in confusion, "Huh?" Suddenly, she came to her senses and pushed Jung Minjun's hands away. He winced in pain and said, "Ah." Han Yena said, I mean, who told you to get cut by a knife like that? I appreciate you helping me, but still, that was reckless. What was I supposed to do if you died? You scared the stuffing out of me. Seriously, you idiot." Jung Minjun said, sorry, as he scratched his head and started sweating. Han Yena said, "No. Why are you the one apologizing? Just thank you, okay? Do you even know how hard it was dragging you all the way here?" Jung Minjun said to himself, "What do you want me to say then?" Han Yena said, and Mr. Kang Hakshio said you need to rest for at least 1 day. So you should get some real rest today, and we'll see how you're doing by tomorrow morning." Jung Minjun said, really? But they say gangbuks going into lockdown? We don't really have time to waste. As he felt pain in his wound, he said, "Ugh." Han Yena said, "Are you okay, you idiot? Why are you trying to move already? Just lie still." Jung Minjun said, okay." A few moments later, Mr. Kang Hakchiol knocked on the door as Jung Minjun and Han Yena looked at it. Kang Hakchiol said, "It's me. I'm coming in." Han Yena said, Kang Hakchiol, huh?" Kang Hakchiol came inside and put down a bag. Jung Minjun said, "Oh." Kang Hakchiol said, "This is your bag, right? The one you always carried at school." Jung Minjun said, "Yeah, that's right. My bag." Kang Hakchiol said, "It was on the second floor of the construction site, so I brought it. You had clothes and personal stuff in there. Thought you might need them. Oh, and there was a decent stash of emergency food. I grabbed some of it." Jung Minjun, shocked, said to himself, "Mom bought me this bag. Kinda comforting to see it again." Kang Hakchiol said, "Oh, and one more thing. Your glasses were lying on the ground too." He handed over Jung Minjun's glasses. Jung Minjun, shocked, said, thanks." And he said to himself, "Thank goodness, my glasses." Jung Minjun said to Kang Hakchiol, Yena told me that you were the one who treated me." Kang Hakchiol asked, "How are you feeling?" Jung Minjun replied, "A little dizzy, but I'm all right." Han Yena said, Did you go check the construction site? What about Park Songbin?" Jung Minjun said, Just as I thought, Park Songbin wasn't there." As Lee Bongyu and his friends said, "Ga, gra." Kang Hakchiol said everyone else except him was infected, and the scooter was gone too, probably taken by him. The kickboard was wrecked. Han Yena, sweating, said, So there's still a chance we'll run into Park Songbin again?" Kang Hakchiol said, "Yeah, but don't worry too much. I might lose in a fight, but I always win at killing." Han Yena said, "Key crazy." Kang Hakchiol said, "Anyway, like I said yesterday, I'm planning to escape gangbuk. You guys, think you can keep up with me?" Han Yena and Jung Minjun were shocked. Jung Minjun said, "Oh, of course, we have to get out, even if it's right now." Han Yena said, "What? Hey, you're supposed to rest today." Kang Hakchiol said, "Yena's right. You can travel after you recover." Jung Minjun said, "No, seriously, I'm fine. Things could be worse by tomorrow." Mr. Kang Hakchiol replied, "But still, let's not rush it. Let's make a plan first. If we hurry, we might mess everything up." As he opened a marker, he wrote on the whiteboard and said, "I thought it over and there's a way to cross the Han River." Han Yena said, "Huh? How?" Kang Hakchiol replied, "Using line 5. He began drawing a map, showing a route from Gangbuk, passing through the Han River, into Songpa, and crossing into Gangnam. Jung Minjun said, The underground tunnel beneath the Han River?" Han Yena said, Would that be safe? There's a high chance of infected in densely populated areas like the subway." Kang Hakchiol said, "Line 5 has screen doors at every station. Once we break through those, it's unlikely there will be infected inside the tunnel itself. Of course, the real problem is getting inside the station and past the screen doors. And there are probably a ton of people who thought the same thing as us. The government might have even blocked off the Line 5 tunnel, but I think it's still worth checking out. So the closest Line 5 station from here is Jangan Station. As you guys know, it's a long walk. Especially the moment we leave this neighborhood and enter Jangan District, things are going to get way more dangerous." A few moments later in the afternoon, Kang Hakchiol wrote on the whiteboard, "Survival Rule 1. Do not rush." He said, "This is the first survival rule I came up with. Gangbuk is already locked down, so don't panic over time and don't rush into anything. If there's a safe place, settle there for a few days, recover your strength, and reassess. Never act out of desperation. Jung Min-jun and Han Yena sat on the couch, sweating as they listened. Kang Hak-cheol continued. Second rule. Unless you're moving to another location, if you're just going out near a temporary shelter, go in pairs or solo. Avoid going out as a group of 3 or more unless absolutely necessary. And lastly, if you're ever in a truly life-threatening situation, do not throw your life away trying to save someone else. Like, even if you could survive by running, don't risk yourself trying to save someone else. Just take care of your own life, even me. If it comes down to it, I'm going to survive in my own way. Never try to sacrifice yourself for someone else. Jung Min-jun sweated in silence. The next day, Kang Hak-cheol said, Jung Min-jun. Jung Min-jun looked confused. Kang Hak-cheol handed over Luciel and said, use this as a weapon. Kang Hak-cheol, sweating, looked at Luciel and said, You want me to use something this scary? Han Yena, also sweating, said, Ugh. Kang Hak-cheol said, it's not just for killing the infected. It's also good for threatening bad people. Just holding a weapon like that makes it harder for others to mess with you. And you know this already, but the infected will attack us like they're trying to kill us. When you fight back, stay focused and swing with everything you've got. You need to hit hard enough for that nail bat to pierce their heart or brain. Got it? Jung Min-jun said to himself. Crazy. Kang Hak-cheol said, all right then, let's head out. As they exited Taesong Labor Center a few moments later, outside Kang Hak-cheol, Han Yena, and Jung Min-jun walked the streets. Jung Min-jun said to himself, but is it really okay for me to kill the infected? They used to be normal people, someone else's family. They're coming at me to kill, but it's not like they're doing it by choice. If I kill them, doesn't that make me a murderer too? What if, by some chance, the country's legal system hasn't completely collapsed yet? As Jung Min-jun read the message on the wall saying, you may be charged with murder, he thought. Would what I'm doing be considered a crime later? Kang Hak-cheol said, hey, Jung Min-jun. As Jung Min-jun looked at Kang Hak-cheol, he continued, you're not wasting time on dumb thoughts or worries, right? Just forget stuff like that. This is a matter of life or death. If you want to live, you need to stay sharp. If you don't harden your heart, you're dead meat. Jung Min-jun said, okay. Han Yena stared at something in the distance and said, hey, wait. Kang Hak-cheol looked confused. Han Yena said, this road. Can we not go this way? Han Yena said, I've got a bad feeling. There's probably a bunch of infected that way. Kang Hak-cheol asked, how can you tell? Han Yena answered, I can sort of tell by the smell. That foul, distinct stench. When infected are nearby, you can smell it. And this way, it's especially bad. Kang Hak-cheol was shocked and said, can you sense where the infected are? Han Yena replied, sense? Not exactly. It's more like a feeling, an intuition, and it's not always infected. Sometimes it's just a dead body. Plus, if it's just 1 or 2 infected, I can't really tell unless they're really close. Jung Min-jun was shocked and thought to himself, come to think of it, she's always been unusually sensitive to smells. She reacted strongly to them several times before. Kang Hak-cheol said, I'll go check it out real quick. A few moments later, Kang Hak-cheol was shocked as he saw zombies scattered around, groaning, tra, gru, ar, jkak, gra. Kang Hak-cheol thought to himself, Han Yena, can she really sense the infected? Han Yena asked, there are? I was right, wasn't I? Kang Hak-cheol said, you were right. Going that way is too risky. Han Yena looked around and said, hey, take a look over there. Kang Hak-cheol looked up, confused. What are you looking at? Jung Min-jun said, I think there's a soldier on the rooftop of that building. He's probably infected, right? Kang Hak-cheol thought to himself, huh? He moved ahead and said, come with me for a second. Jung Min-jun replied, confused, huh? As they entered a building, Kang Hak-cheol looked out the window and said, it's fine. There aren't any infected up here. Come on. Han Yena panted, ha ha. Why did we come up here? Kang Hak-cheol used his binoculars. I spotted at least 3 infected soldiers, and yeah, they're all infected. But one of them is still carrying a rifle. Jung Min-jun said, hey, you're not seriously. Wait, are you thinking of taking that rifle? Maybe we should just forget it. Kang Hak-cheol responded, if there's more than 3 of them, getting close to the one with the rifle will be nearly impossible. And what if there's no ammo? We can't even tell if it's loaded, right? Even if we get the rifle, firing it will make a ton of noise and attract a swarm of infected. Jung Min-jun added, and we don't even know how to use. Kang Hak-cheol interrupted. No, I know how to use it. That weapon. We need it. We're taking it. A few moments later, Han Yena said to Kang Hak-cheol, hey, What the heck are you saying? Minjin literally just explained it. How are you going to deal with 3 infected at once in that cramped space? And that rifle. You said it's still strapped to the soldier's body, right? So the only way to take it is, we'd have to kill that infected soldier. There's no other way around it. Young Minjin thought to himself, but there's been something bugging me for a while. He remembered a time in his room, aiming at a zombie approaching him and firing a rifle at it. Young Minjin continued thinking, that lingering unease I haven't been able to shake. If that's the case, that weapon might be something we have to get sooner or later. Young Minjin said aloud, all right, let's take it. Han Yena, sweating, said, what? Hey, you guys are seriously insane, aren't you? Even getting up there looks tough as heck. And how do you even plan to fight those infected? Kang Hachiol replied, then we'll go on our own. You hide here. Han Yena said, fine, then I'll help too. What should I do? Kang Hachiol said, it looks really cramped up there, so if all 3 of us go, it might actually be more dangerous, so it's better if you stay hidden here. Can you hold on to our bags instead? Han Yena said, me? All alone? It's even scarier being alone though. A few moments later, at noon a zombie girl faced a camera and groaned, Gula. Kang Hachiol sneaked behind her. He said to Jung Minjin, let's grab this railing and climb up. You okay with that? Jung Minjin said, yeah. Kang Hachiol said, but Minjin, you do not seem that scared of the infected. You didn't even hesitate coming this far. Jung Minjin answered, I am nervous, but I think that's making me more focused. As they reached the rooftop, Kang Hachiol peeked past the barricade. The 3 soldiers groaned. Gra, gar. Kang Hachiol said, as expected, only 3 infected soldiers. But they're all huddled too close together, so sneaking up on them won't be easy. Jung Minjun said, right. I heard from Yena you're good at throwing knives, right? Are you thinking of using that? Kang Hachiol replied, just throwing a knife won't be enough to take them out instantly. We need to finish this in 10 seconds. Young Minjin, confused and sweating, said, 10 seconds? How are we supposed to take down 3 infected in just 10 seconds? Kang Hachiol said, obviously, I can't take on all 3 by myself. That's why I need your help. I'll rush in first and take down the closest one right away. That will draw the other 2 to me, right? Then you hit one of them with the nail bat. Jung Minjin, shocked, said, what if something goes wrong? Kang Hachiol said, no matter what happens, you only need to take down 1. Just don't freeze up. Can you do it? Jung Minjin said, yeah, I'll try. Kang Hachiol said, Jung Minjin, I get it. You're hanging in there, struggling, but right now survival comes first. We have to do whatever it takes to stay alive. Jung Minjin replied, yeah. He thought to himself, right. Ever since what happened with that guy in the rooftop room, I realized they're not human anymore. They stared at the zombie soldiers. Jung Minjin snuck along the side while Kang Hachiol stood atop the barricade. Then he jumped. The zombies suddenly screamed, Grah! They charged toward Kang Hachiol. He pulled out his pocket knife, thinking, I need to strike clean if I want to finish it in 1 hit. As a zombie soldier ran at him, Kang Hachiol focused. A kill shot. He struck the first zombie clean. Kang Hachiol's eyes widened in shock. Another zombie charged toward him. Crap, he thought. I have to take at least one of them out in 1 blow. He quickly slashed at its neck. It didn't go in deep enough. He realized. The soldier zombie still holding a rifle screamed, Rah! Ugh! Kang Hachiol grunted, then shouted, Jung Minjin! Jung Minjin raised Lucille and swung the bat as hard as he could from behind. The infected soldier held its head. Jung Minjin muttered, sweating in confusion. The zombie turned around and shrieked, Rah! Jung Minjin panicked. Oh, fudge! What the heck? Get away from me! Oh! Kang Hachiol watched the scene, gritting his teeth. That's not going to be enough. Suddenly, the other zombie rose and lunged at him. Grarg! Gah! Ka! He winced and thought, I need to take out the one with the rifle first. He pulled his knife back and stabbed it into the neck of the rifle-wielding zombie. They both collapsed. Kang Hachiol dropped his knife. Shoot! He muttered to himself. The remaining zombie soldier growled, Rah! One infected is on Jung Minjin. Another one's charging at me. Kang Hachiol thought, at this point, all I can do is pray. Please let there be at least 2 bullets left in this rifle. He cocked the rifle. Rar! The approaching zombie howled. Rah! The one grappling Jung Minjin bellowed. Jung Minjin groaned. Kuh! Where the heck is all this strength coming from? Bang! Kang Hachiol fired the rifle. Kang Hachiol! Jung Minjin shouted. The zombie by him stumbled. Koo! Ka! Roar! Kang Hakchiol smirked. Not bad for a rookie, Jung Minjin. Now the real fight begins. Bang! Another shot rang out. Han Yena, startled, jolted by the sound. That was 2 gunshots, was it not? She whispered. Shoot, that was loud, she muttered, pulling out her binoculars. Please, 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 please. She looked through them. They're safe, I think. Jung Minjin, catching his breath, said, Sorry, I don't think I was much help. Kang Hakchiol shook his head. No, you drew one of them away. That saved me, but later, we're going to need to practice swinging that bat properly. But seriously, that was impressive, Minjin muttered, firing in that position. Have you shot before? Kang Hakchiol said. Maybe 2 or 3 times when I was 12. Never with my left hand, though. I was just going off instinct. Lucky I didn't hit you. Huh, Jung Minjin responded, still in awe. Kang Hakchiol removed the magazine and thought, let's see how many bullets are left. 1, 2, 3. Huh, Minjin said, confused. Down on the street, the infected moaned and roared. Gra! Gra! Jung Minjin looked around nervously. Hey, I think I hear infected heading this way. Yeah, Kang Hakchiol nodded. That gunfire probably drew them in. We need to hurry. Can you check if there's any ammo over there? Yeah, Minjin said. Meanwhile, in the other building, Han Yena kept watch through her binoculars. Haven't seen Minjin or Hakchiol for a bit now, she mumbled. Did they already go down earlier? Is it okay to head down to the first floor and wait now? Suddenly, a zombie outside screamed, Rar! More infected roared, Rar! Groar! They all rushed toward the sound. Han Yena trembled. The infected are all gathering that way. She started sweating. There's no way I can get down there right now. Should I just stay up here and wait? No, more importantly, will they even be able to make it back safely? Suddenly, her eyes widened. Huh, she muttered. An old zombie stood outside, and it smiled at her. Her heart stopped. She immediately ducked down and whispered, trembling, Did it just look at me and smile? As Han Yena hides, sounds were heard downstairs, then it went silent. The old, dirty zombie said, Ga, gra, gra, ah, gra, gak. Han Yena said to herself, That's impossible. She sweated and continued telling herself, I'm sure we locked the first floor entrance on the way out, and we added the nearby stuff on top of it. The old dirty zombie said, Ra, ah. Roar, Han Yena said to herself. But, don't tell me, they got inside? The zombie continued to say, Gra, Han Yena said to herself. How the heck are infected even capable of doing something like that? The old zombie said, Gra, ra, ra. Han Yena said, No, it's climbing up here. The old zombie walked up the stairs. Han Yena heard the footsteps. The old zombie said, Gra. The old zombie looked at the window. Han Yena covered her soft, delicate mouth. The old zombie stopped. He looked at Han Yena with an eerie smile. Then he walked toward her. Han Yena closed her eyes, then opened them gently. She saw the old, dirty zombie smiling at her, face to face. She was shocked and scared as she shouted, Kya! Ah! Suddenly, Kang Hakchiol stabbed the dirty old zombie in the neck. Blood splattered all over Han Yena's face. Kang Hakchiol said, Are you okay? A few moments later, Kang Hakchiol said, Did you say? The infected smiled at you. Han Yena said, Yeah, it felt like I was facing a person, not a monster. Like the time I ran into that creepy pervert guy. It gave me the same kind of shivers. Kang Hakchiol said, Judging by what we saw, he was definitely infected. And I did lock the main entrance and block it off with stuff I found nearby. While it wasn't the most secure barrier, like the one I left in the room, still, everything was knocked over. Even the door itself was broken when we got here. As Jung Minjin listened, he opened his bottle. Kang Hakchiol said, It's like someone who wasn't infected broke in on purpose. From what I know about infected behavior, they all instinct and aggression, so this shouldn't even be possible. Could it be that one infected still had emotions or habits left? Han Yena sweated and said, Ugh, that's impossible. Jung Minjin said, It's just a guess, but some infected might be, like you said, special types, or they could gradually be evolving. He refilled his bottle with water. As Kang Hakchiol looked at Jung Minjin, confused, Jung Minjin said, What if someday they start climbing ladders, jumping across rooftops, or even developing coordination, strategy, planning attacks on survivors? They might not just evolve mentally, but physically too. Almost in a state where they're brain dead, but with only their attack instincts intensified. Kang Hakchiol said, How do you even know that? Young Minjun said, just a hunch. I mean, I don't know for sure, and it might sound ridiculous, but the way the infected act feels a lot like something from a game I used to play. I was really into it recently, so maybe it's just messing with my head. Kang Hakchiol said, that's kind of a wild theory. Han Yena said, you mean we're inside a game now or something? Jung Minjun said, no, of course not. Just forget I said it. Kang Hakchiol said, anyway, what's real is that this is the worst outbreak in human history, and we have to survive it. Young Minjun said, oh, by the way, when infected blood splashed on you earlier, you're not infected, right? Kang Hakchiol said, I've had infected blood hit me several times now. Just making contact doesn't seem to infect you. So it seems like the only way to get infected is if you're bitten. A few moments later, Kang Hakchiol said, 1K2 rifle with 15 rounds, 2 military knives. I've still got my folding knife, so Minjun, you take one of the knives. Jung Minjun said, the other one. Kang Hakchiol said, Yena, you carry it. Han Yena, confused, said, huh? You want me to hold this? Kang Hakchiol said, you've got to protect yourself. If something like earlier happens again, are you going to keep relying on us every time? And you both should learn how to handle the rifle for me eventually. Han Yena and Jung Minjun looked confused and shocked. Kang Hakchiol said, if I die, Minjun, you might have to use this rifle, and Yena, you might end up needing it too. The room fell silent at the weight of his words. Han Yena said, hey, don't say nonsense like that, seriously. Jung Minjun added, you know the people who say that kind of stuff are always the first to die, right? That's like a total cliche in movies and dramas. You're literally following the script right now. Kang Hakchiol replied. What are you even talking about? I'm not dying. I'll do whatever it takes to survive. I'm just saying we need to be ready. If it ever comes to that. Jung Minjun sat down beside Han Yena and said, well, you're not wrong. But honestly, I've always kind of wanted to try shooting a real gun. We probably can't practice firing it for real though because of the noise. And we do not have much ammunition either. How about you, Yena? Don't you want to try shooting too? Han Yena looked away. Suddenly, she moved away from Jung Minjun. She said, who knows? I'm not sure. Jung Minjun looked confused. Han Yena continued, oh, and don't come near me. Still confused, Jung Minjun asked, what's wrong? Han Yena replied, I don't want to. Not right now. Be near you. Jung Minjun began to sweat and muttered to himself, what? Out of nowhere. Did I do something wrong? That's just how she always acted toward you at school, isn't it? Han Yena said to herself, ha, that freaking loner. He's got zero awareness. She sniffed at herself and kept thinking, I haven't even showered in days. It feels disgusting. Perhaps I smell bad or something. I know survival's the priority, but I'm getting caught up in this nonsense. I must be an idiot. Maybe in a more extreme situation, I will not even care anymore. She looked at Jung Minjun and thought, honestly, none of that matters. I just don't want to be near Jung Minjun right now. Since when did I start caring about that idiot? She looked down and muttered internally, so annoying, as her cheeks turned slightly red. And next day, on the streets, as they walked, Kang Hakchiol said, think this way's clear? Han Yena replied, yeah, but there might still be 2 or 3 inside. Can't say for sure about indoors. Jung Minjun added, still, thanks to Yena, this actually feels kind of manageable. At this rate, we might really be able to move around easily. Kang Hakchiol warned, don't let your guard down though. Stay sharp. Kang Hakchiol limped as he walked. Jung Minjun noticed and asked, but are you okay? You've been limping for a while now. Kang Hakchiol said, yeah. I think I twisted something when I fell with that infected soldier. I might have torn a ligament. Jung Minjun began to sweat and was shocked. What? Han Yena said, hey, shouldn't you be resting then? Jung Minjun added, you're the one who said not to push ourselves. Kang Hakchiol said, I thought I was okay earlier, but this isn't a big deal. Compared to when I defected from the north, this is nothing. We should probably start looking for a place to sleep soon. Han Yena looked toward a door and said, Kang Hakchiol asked, what's wrong? Han Yena replied, there's something. Suddenly, a zombie shouted from behind the door, gra. Han Yena jumped back in shock. Kya, that scared me. Jung Minjun said, what was that? Is there an infected inside? A voice shouted from above, hey, you're survivors, right? The 3 looked up, confused. An old man called down from a rooftop, I've been stuck on this rooftop for 2 days, but please help me. Kang Hakchiol asked, how did you end up stuck up there? The old man replied, I went out to grab some supplies. Then got chased up here by infected. Right now, there are infected inside the stairwell. I'm completely trapped. Kang Hakchiol asked, but who closed the shutter on the front door? The old man answered, I asked a passing survivor for help, but they said they were infected inside and just shut it and left me here. Kang Hakchiol said, Are there a lot of infected in the stairwell? The old man responded, I was being chased by maybe 6 or 7 of them. 6 or 7. Kang Hakchiol thought aloud, from the looks of it, there really are infected inside, so he's probably telling the truth. 6 or 7 though, even if he's right about the number. He turned to the old man and said, I'm sorry. That's too many for us to handle right now. We're not in a position to help anyone. Kang Hakchiol turned and began walking away. Let's go. Jung Minjun stared, confused. Huh? The old man shouted desperately. Wait! Please. I'm begging you. I haven't been home in 2 days. My family's waiting for me. My wife and son are alone, waiting at home. And I still haven't found my daughter. If I don't get back... Wah! Please, I'm begging you. Jung Minjun said, Sir! If you yell like that, you'll put all of us in danger. Please calm down. Han Yena said, is it really okay to just leave him? Kang Hakchiol said, We're not in a position to help anyone right now. We shouldn't take unnecessary risks. Let's move. Jung Minjun stood frozen, shocked. Then suddenly, he said, Hey, isn't there some kind of way? Kang Hakchiol stopped and sighed. Sigh. What kind of way? Jung Minjun said, Actually, I just thought of something good. I think I might be able to save him. The sky was clear. Jung Minjun, Han Yena, and Kang Hakchiol stood before a tunnel blocked by several cars. Kang Hakchiol glanced behind them and said, So basically, after opening the shutter, you will lure those 6 or 7 infected over here, back to the path we just came from. Then, once you lose them outside the tunnel, you will run back this way. And while you do that, Yena and I will push this white car to block off the tunnel entrance? Jung Minjun nodded. Yeah. He is not around anymore, but I used to help my dad push parked cars when they were in neutral, so I think we will be able to move this one too. Hakchiol, since your leg is messed up, I will lure the infected out of the tunnel, lose them, and then circle back. As soon as I get back, you and Yena push the car in place to block them out. As Han Yena wiped sweat from her brow, Kang Hakchiol listened carefully. He frowned and said, Unless you can really outrun them, this plan has a high chance of failing. Are you a decent runner? Jung Minjun hesitated. I mean, I am above average, so I should be fine. And honestly, I am not that scared of getting chased by the infected. Fair enough, Hakchiol muttered. This tunnel is just wide enough for one person to get through, so if we angle the car this way, it should completely block the path. They approached the van. The door's unlocked, Hakchiol said, testing the handle, and it looks like the parking brake is off too, but why are you going this far to save that guy? I told you before, do not sacrifice yourself for someone else. Even if we risk our lives to save him, what do we actually gain? Han Yena added, Yeah. When you say it like that, it does sound too risky. For all we know, he could be a good guy, or a bad one. Jung Minjun stayed silent. A memory flashed in his mind. The old men at the construction site. He had given one of them his own lunch plate. They were kind. They had died. Sweating, he finally said, I do not know. He does not seem like a bad person. He reminds me of those guys who died at the construction site, and, weirdly, he reminds me of my dad too. Kang Hakchiol was quiet, then finally said, Let's push the car forward a bit first, just enough so we can block off the gap easily. Okay, Minjun replied. A few moments later, Kang Hakchiol sat in the driver's seat. If we just turn the wheel a little, we should be able to position it right. Let's give it a gentle push. All right, 1, 2, Minjun counted. 3, he shouted. Han Yena grunted, approximately. Oh, it's moving, she said with a gasp. Kang Hakchiol carefully steered the van as it inched toward the gap. After adjusting it into place, he said, This should be good, right? Just in case, I will hide over there and get ready to shoot. Jung Minjun looked worried. But only use the gun if it is a last resort. Yeah, Hakchiol nodded. Han Yena, still anxious, said, But what if there is an infected right by the shutter on the first floor? Would it not just rush out the second it opens? And if they are scattered across the floors, that could be a problem too. Jung Minjun thought, then replied, If we ask the guy to make a loud noise near the rooftop exit, the infected will probably all head upstairs. Then I will open the shutter, make noise on the first floor, and lure them out all at once. Kang Hakchiol turned to Minjin. Jung Minjin. Yeah, Minjin said. You do realize how dangerous this plan is, right? He cocked the gun. If there really are special infected like you said, then anything could go wrong. Ah, true. But if there was a special infected in there, I doubt it would have just stayed trapped this whole time. It should be fine. I am not willing to risk my life for anyone except my little sister. Understand? This is the last time. After this, no more risky plans like this. Young Minjin nodded, sweat running down his neck. A few moments later, at the alley near the old man's building, Jung Minjin shouted, "Here, over here, get here, here." He ran down the stairs and burst out of the building. The infected roared in excitement, tumbling after him down the stairwell. Wah! Minjin screamed as he ran for his life. Roars and growls echoed as the infected gave chase. "Come, try and catch me," he shouted behind him. From around the corner, Kang Hakchiol watched the chase unfold. He turned to Han Yena. "All right, it's now." "Yeah," she said. They rushed to the tunnel and took their positions. Han Yena, sweating, whispered, "Jung Minjin, please." Kang Hakchiol stared intently down the tunnel. Snarling and growling from the infected echoed from within. Suddenly, Jung Minjin appeared, running full speed. "Now!" he shouted. "Push it!" As Han Yena and Kang Hakchiol pushed the van toward the opening, they managed to block the path. The zombies' roars continued. Jung Minjin, catching his breath, said, "Whew, it worked." Han Yena said, "Good job." The old man, his voice trembling, said, "Thank you." Jung Minjin was shocked and confused to hear this from the old man. The old man continued, "Really, thank you so much. You saved my life." Jung Minjin said, "Sir, we should not stay here. Let's get somewhere safe first." Kang Hakchiol watched them silently. A few moments later, Jung Minjin asked, "Wait, how many butane cans do you have?" The old man replied, "The electricity and water are still working at home. It is just the gas that is out." He went on, "Lucky for us, our house is near the restaurant district, so I have been able to find food easily. I was planning to find a portable induction cooker, but ended up getting a ton of butane instead." Jung Minjin asked, How do you still have power, though?" The old man said, "We have solar panels, so we can run small electronics." Kang Hakchiol looked at the coolers and said, "Then as long as you stock up on food, you are basically set to survive. And actually, there is more useful stuff here than I expected." The old man nodded and said, "Honestly, I have been coming out once a day to search nearby and look for my daughter. So how about you students? Where are you headed?" Young Minjin said, But you do not need to speak formally to us. We are way younger than you." The old man shook his head. "No, you saved my life." After approximately, Jung Minjin said, Just speak however you are comfortable then," he thought. To himself, he really does seem like a good guy. Han Yena said, You heard about the gangbuk lockdown, right? We are trying to escape before it happens." The old man said, That is going to be incredibly dangerous. Will you be okay?" Han Yena hesitated, then said, But earlier you mentioned you do not know where your daughter is." The old man sighed. Yes. Actually, the last I heard from her was the day this all started. She was on her way home. I left my wife and son at home and drove out to find her. My car got stranded, and I nearly died, but I somehow made it back. I should have evacuated my wife and son first, but the situation outside was so bad that I missed the chance. In the end, we decided to stay together as a family, just in case, however slim the chance, that my daughter comes home. Han Yena wiped sweat and said, I hope you really do find her." The old man changed the subject. By the way, where did you get that rifle?" Kang Hakchiol said, "I just found it on the street." The old man nodded slowly. Now that I think about it, the sun is going to set soon. Do you have a place to stay tonight?" Young Minjin said, "We were planning to find one now. Worst case, we would break into a nearby building and spend the night." The old man smiled. "Then how about staying at my house tonight? It is close by, and it is a detached home with plenty of space. Electricity, running water, and food, everything is there." Jung Minjin and Han Yena exchanged looks and said, Kang Hakchiol said, "Really? That would honestly be a huge help." Han Yena asked, Is this really okay?" The old man said, "Yeah, it is fine." Jung Minjin said, "If Hakchiol says it is fine, then I guess it is." Han Yena nodded nervously. Yeah." Young Minjin added, "If you have more stuff to carry, we can help you move it." The old man smiled gratefully. That would be great. Just do not overdo it." As the sun set, they arrived at the old man's place. He said, "Here it is." Young Minjun was shocked. Oh, it really is a detached house, with solar panels too, Kang Hakchiel muttered to himself. A brick wall, a steel gate, even barbed wire. And it has running water. It is a perfect safe house. Jung Minjun cocked the rifle again. The old man looked shocked and confused, and asked Kang Hakchiel, why are you loading your gun? Kang Hakchiel said, I have just seen too many crazy people out there. Please understand, we are walking into a stranger's place after all. But as you can see, my friends and I are not bandits or anything. The old man wiped sweat from his forehead and said, yeah. He then opened the door and shouted, Honey, I am home. They entered inside. In a different scene, at the clinic. The room was quiet. Suddenly, the door was kicked open. Park Songbin stormed in and said, Hey, fudge. Thought I was going to die again today. Barely made it. He wiped Young Minjun's kitchen knife on his pants. Park Songbin continued, But seriously, why are there so many jerks worse than the infected in this neighborhood? I think I have killed more people than infected at this point. This flipping place ought to be nuked and wiped off the map. He sat down and muttered, It is kinda cozy here. Might as well take a break. He then noticed a whiteboard and frowned. What is this? He saw a drawing of a map and smirked. Keke, this little rascal. So this is where they have been hiding? They even ran into Kang Hakchiel? Jiangin Station, huh? So they are planning to cross the Han River using Line 5. As Jung Minjun, Han Yina, and Kang Hakchiel entered the home with Seo Jae-hoon, the professor shouted, Honey, son, Dad's home. Kang Hakchiel turned to Jung Minjun. Jung Minjun, wait. Jung Minjun looked confused. Huh? Yeah. Kang Hakchiel continued, I'll go in first. Inside the house, Seo Jae-hoon called out again. Honey, Kang Hakchiel muttered to himself, wary. What if this guy is just tricking us? Worst case, we take the house by force. Then came another shout. Uni! Kang Hakchiel froze in place, startled. From inside, a young voice called out, Dad! Seo Jae-hoon's wife ran out, eyes wide with emotion. What took you so long? I seriously thought you were dead. Their son burst into tears. Wah, Dad! Seo Jae-hoon knelt to embrace them both. I'm so sorry I was late. I'm really sorry. From the doorway, Jung Minjun silently observed the reunion and slowly lowered his guard. A few moments later, Seo Jae-hoon turned to his guests. Sorry I didn't introduce them earlier. These are the ones who saved my life, Jung Minjun and his friends. His wife bowed quickly. Thank you so much. Jung Minjun waved his hands nervously. Not at all. Haha. Moon Ji-yoon, 45 years old, housewife. She smiled warmly. I'll go make some food, so just relax and make yourselves at home. The water works, so feel free to wash up too. Han Yena, drenched in sweat, lit up. Really? We can actually take a shower? Moon Ji-yoon nodded. Of course. She took Han Yena's hand gently. Oh my, but how old are you, sweetie? You're so pretty. Why would someone this gorgeous be out in danger like that? Han Yena flushed. Sorry, Moon Ji-yoon grinned. You could totally be a celebrity. Wow, you're so stunning. Jung Minjun silently watched the exchange from behind. Han Yena blushed even harder. Thank you. You're really beautiful too, ma'am. Moon Ji-yoon fell silent for a moment, then quietly said, My daughter. She's about the same age as you. Han Yena's smile faded. Moon Ji-yoon continued, voice trembling slightly. She just started college this year, but she went missing a few days ago. Han Yena gently replied, Yeah, we heard about that. Your daughter, I'm sure she's still alive. Moon Ji-yoon smiled faintly. Thank you. Anyway, I shouldn't have brought that up. You all just rest. I'll handle the food. Han Yena stood up. We can help with that. Moon Ji-yoon waved her off. No can do. You saved my husband. And you look about the same size as my daughter. Let me know if you need clean clothes. Meanwhile, Jung Minjun glanced toward the stairs. He caught sight of Seo Jae-hoon's son staring nervously at him. The boy quickly ran back up. Jung Minjun thought to himself, that must be their son. Looks like he's in elementary school. Kang Hakchiel sank into the couch. Whew. Jung Minjun asked, how's your foot? Kang Hakchiel took off his sock. Jung Minjun gasped. Gasp, crazy. It's really swollen. Kang Hakchiel nodded grimly. Yeah, I think it'd be best to rest here a bit longer if we can. Still, just in case, we should check out the house, make sure everything's secure. Jung Minjun chuckled. Wow. You really don't let your guard down, Hakchiel? That survival mindset really hits different. A few moments later, in the shower, Han Yena stood under the hot, steamy water, sighing in pure relief. Kia, I can't believe I finally get to shower again. Ugh, I felt like I was gonna die from how gross I was. She grew silent. Her thoughts drifted back to earlier, Jung Minjin sprinting from a swarm of zombies. Why is he trying to act all cool now? It doesn't suit him. So annoying. She shook her head. Sigh. Jung Minjin. Seriously. I didn't think he had it in him, but he's got guts. If he tries pulling that crazy stunt again, I'm gonna stop him for real. A few hours later, it was already 6:30 in the evening. Dinner had been served. Moon Ji-yoon clapped her hands. All right, let's eat. Dig in, everyone. Jung Minjin's eyes widened. Wow. It's been so long since we had a proper meal. SCO Jae-hoon spoke up. Oh, right. I heard you're planning to escape to Gangnam. You do know all the bridges and roads to Gangnam are already shut down, right? How do you plan on crossing? Kang Hak-cheol answered, we were thinking about going through the Line 5 underground tunnel on the east side. If it hasn't been sealed off, we think we can make it. SCO Jae-hoon froze slightly. Line 5? If it's Line 5, then... Kang Hak-cheol tilted his head, confused. Seo Jae-hoon, 50 years old, university professor, said quietly, the last place we heard from my daughter was Gwangnaru Station on Line 5. Jung Minjin's eyes widened. Ah, really? Kang Hak-cheol murmured to himself. Gwangnaru Station? That's one of the last Line 5 stops near the Han River. It's about 6 or 7 stations away from here, starting at Janggan Station. Janggan Station to Gwangnaru. It's our final destination, the last stop before we cross the river. Kang Hak-cheol said, our plan was to cross the river through Janggan Station, then head toward Gwangnaru Station through the underground tunnel. If your daughter's still alive, she might be somewhere nearby. Seo Jae-hoon nodded, eyes heavy with memory. Ah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. I drove toward Gwangnaru Station to look for my daughter, but I got stranded. I had to ditch the car and walk all the way to Janggan Station, but Janggan Station had already been completely overrun by the infected, and walking all the way to Gwangnaru was just too far. I couldn't leave my family behind to go alone. That's why I've just been stuck here, unable to do anything. Kang Hak-cheol nodded slowly. Right. Gwangnaru is almost 10 kilometers away from here. Are the roads around here also too dangerous to drive on? SEO Jae-hoon replied, I can't say I've checked every road, but most of them are blocked by abandoned cars or debris, so it's really hard to get through. You can drive a bit, but if your car ends up stuck along the way, it could turn into a deadly situation. Kang Hak-cheol frowned to himself. So driving is basically a no-go, huh? Han Yena suddenly spoke up, changing the mood slightly. But I don't think we've properly introduced ourselves yet, haha. Seo Jae-hoon smiled, slightly embarrassed. Ah, right. Sorry, I should have done that sooner. I teach at a university. Han Yena's eyes widened. Whoa, you're a professor. Then we should all introduce ourselves, ha ha ha. And a few moments later, Moon Ji-yoon opened a bedroom door. This is my daughter's room. Would you three like to split up between this room and my son's room? He can sleep in our room with us. Jung Minjun quickly waved it off. Ah, no, it's fine. Hak-cheol and I will just crash in the living room, Moon Ji-yoon insisted. Then at least Yena should rest in here comfortably. You probably haven't had a proper night's sleep in days. Jung Minjun glanced at Han Yena. Ah, Han Yena met his eyes, then turned to Moon Ji-yoon. Ah, it's okay. I'll just sleep in the living room with my friends, haha. Jung Minjun looked puzzled. Huh? Hey, just take the bed and rest properly. You haven't slept comfortably in forever. Han Yena shrugged. Ah, it's fine, haha. Jung Minjun frowned. Why? Don't you sleep better alone? Earlier, you were all grossed out sitting next to me, and now suddenly you're all friendly. Han Yena suddenly punched him.
Ah, you're scared of sleeping alone, aren't you?
He teased. She continued to punch him. Ah, I said I'm fine, okay? Ha ha. Ack. Jung Minjun winced in pain. Han Yena walked out of the room, muttering, Ugh, Jung Minjun, you're seriously annoying. I swear, I want to beat the stuffing out of you, you idiot. Sigh. Jung Minjun groaned. I mean, what did I do? Kang Hak-cheol remained silent, watching everything. Later that night, Moon Ji-yoon said softly, Good night, everyone. Han Yena responded cheerfully, Yes, good night, sleep well. Jung Minjun leaned toward Kang Hak-cheol. Did you check the house? How is it? Kang Hak-cheol replied, Nothing seems out of place. I think we can rest easy. Jung Minjun gave him a look. Doesn't seem like you're resting easy when you're even sleeping with your gun strapped on. A few hours later, 10:30 p.m., the three of them lay in silence. Han Yena pretended to sleep. Then she quietly opened her eyes and whispered, Are you guys asleep? Jung Minjun responded, Looks like Hak-cheol's already out. I'm still awake. Han Yena sat up. Jung Minjun blinked at her confused. You must be tired. Why aren't you sleeping? She asked. Well then let's chat a bit, haha. What were you thinking about? Jung Minjun looked at her, glasses off. Just thinking about my mom. Wondering if she's okay. If nothing bad has happened to her, she's probably really worried about me right now. Being here around this family makes me think of her even more. Hanyena stayed quiet for a moment, then said softly, I'll help you find your mom, no matter what. Jung Minjun looked at her, then looked away. Thanks. He sat up slowly, hesitant. But this might sound like I'm prying, but I've just been curious. Your parents, we still don't know where they are. Are you really okay with that? They're your only parents after all. Hanyena looked down. Yeah, I guess I can tell you, Jung Minjun. He blinked, surprised. I haven't told this to anyone before, about my parents. Hanyena said, actually, my family is a blended family. We are a total wreck of a family. Jung Minjun began sweating and said, Hanyena continued, I do not know if you have heard, but my father was pretty famous. He even appeared on television sometimes. He is also a doctor at a large hospital. And my mother was a medical researcher. They divorced when I was young, and my mother moved to America. After that, I lived with my father and my stepmother, a few days earlier. Hanyena said to Jung Minjun, What? You are doing it again? Jung Minjun walked away. Hanyena called out, So you are just completely ignoring me now? Hey! Fudge, are you deaf? I am talking to you. But Jung Minjun kept walking. Hanyena sighed and muttered, Honestly though, he is kind of pathetic. Weak and helpless. I am going to tell Park Songbin to mess him up tomorrow. She watched Jung Minjun silently as he walked away. A few moments later, Hanyena entered the building and said to herself, But if I think about it, I do not really have any right to pity Minjun. I really hate going home. If that crazy lady is there, I will just change quickly and leave. Later, at their apartment, she heard noises from her stepmother. Baby. Hanyena looked at the floor, noticing her stepmother's shoes and bag, and another pair of men's shoes beside them. The squeaking noises grew louder. Hanyena muttered, Fudge, what a crazy woman. She thought to herself, my stepmother openly cheated on my father because she had leverage over him. My father was always busy at the hospital, barely ever home. Hanyena entered her room and took off her school uniform. Suddenly, her stepmother barged in and shouted, Hey, why the heck are you home so early today? Hanyena replied, I am leaving right away anyway. You smell like booze. Disgusting. Her stepmother yelled, Did I not tell you to ring the bell before coming in? Hanyena said, Why would I ring the doorbell to enter my own house? Right. She glanced back with a mocking smile and said, Is it because you do not want me hearing you fooling around with some random guy in the bedroom? Hee. Her stepmother shouted in anger, You little brat. Going to meet another guy, huh? Crazy kid, look how short your ridiculous skirt is. Even though Hanyena was clearly wearing shorts underneath, she said, Like you can talk, You are the one cheating openly, At least I know how to have decent fun, unlike you. Her stepmother snapped, You want to fight? Suddenly a man walked in, buttoning his shirt and asked, Baby, who is that? Your daughter? Her stepmother replied coldly, She is not mine. She is my husband's child. Hanyena took out her phone and snapped photos of her stepmother and the man. She said, Should I send this to father? The man stammered in shock, sweating nervously. What? Hey, do not you dare. Her stepmother scoffed, lit up a cheap cigarette and said, Nah, forget it. Go ahead, send it. The woman's name was Choi Soo-jin, age 36, a former actress turned influencer. Hanyena's stepmother. Hanyena, confused, said, What? Choi Soo-jin grinned and said, Go ahead. Even if your father sees it, he will not dare say a word. He cannot escape me. I have got him cornered. You know it too, right? Want me to tell you some juicy secrets about your father that even you do not know? She blew smoke directly at Hanyena's face to overpower her. Choi Soo-jin continued, It is not like I have anything to lose anyway. So if I blow everything up, who do you think will lose the most? Your father? If he divorces me, he is finished, He would lose his wealth, ruin his hospital, and his reputation would be totally destroyed. That is why. Go ahead and tell him to divorce me. Hanyena remained silent. She then walked out of her room, bumping into Choi Soo-jin and muttered, Crazy woman. Choi Soo-jin shouted, What? Crazy woman? You must really want to fight. The man nervously said, Baby, you drank too much. Choi Soo-jin kept shouting, "Ha, seriously, hee. She is exactly like her trashy mother, hee. Even her nasty way of speaking is the same, hee. What is the use of being smart, hee, when your personality is absolute garbage? If you are going to leave, then get lost already, you ridiculous brat." Hanyena slammed the door shut. A few moments later, outside, Hanyena muttered to herself, "Fudge, this place is disgusting. From now on, I am never coming back to this hellhole. Never. I will never set foot here again. I would rather the world ended tomorrow." She went to a karaoke bar. A woman in the crowd sang loudly, even in darkness, "I will shine for yo, we are Lumina." Hanyena thought to herself, what is this news? Things got crazy suddenly. A woman beside her gasped, "Crazy. I have to go. My mother just had an accident. She is in critical condition." Her friend shouted, "Hey, then should you not hurry up and go?" Hanyena looked at them, confused. A few moments later, outside, as Hanyena walked, she muttered, "What? Why am I getting so many emergency alerts suddenly? Even my messages are blowing up." Suddenly, a man screamed, "Cow!" As Hanyena stood confused, a man came running toward her and shouted, "Wow, run!" A woman running behind also screamed, "Ka!" A few hours later, Hanyena arrived at the stairwell of a building. Exhausted from running, she panted, "Huff, huff, I barely escaped." She looked up at a room above. She entered and said to herself, "Even 119 emergency is not working. What the heck is going on? Let me try calling father." No answer. Even at a time like this, well, he never put me first anyway. "Mother, you are in America now, so you definitely cannot help. Who else can I call for help?" She paused, staring at her phone. Then she whispered to herself, "The one person I hate most." She dialed. The screen said, "Dialing. Stepmother woman." Choi Soo-jin answered and said, "What is it?" Hanyena, panicked, replied, "Yes, hello?" Choi Soo-jin snapped, "What do you want? I am busy right now." Hanyena stammered, I am trapped on the emergency stairs of a building near the main street. Help me. I tried calling emergency services, but nobody is picking up." Choi Soo-jin exclaimed, "Fudge, what the heck are you saying? Figure it out yourself." Hanyena, sweating in fear, mumbled, "What?" Choi Soo-jin shouted, "Our apartment is in chaos too. I am hanging up. I have got to save myself." Hanyena pleaded, Hey, wait, you have a car, right? It is near the FD building by Young Pilates. Please come pick me." She heard chaos on the other end of the line. Hanyena stood silently. Then she remembered a time with her mother. "Yena, open the door. Yena, let us talk just a moment." Hanyena had sat on the other side of the door and replied, "Just go away." She cried and whispered, "Mom, I miss you." Later, Hanyena continued speaking to Jung Minjun. "In the end, my stepmother abandoned me and ran. My father never even answered my calls. So, I do not care if I ever find either of them. I do not care what happened to them. I just miss my mom right now." Jung Minjun asked, "Then your mom is still in America?" Hanyena replied, "After she moved there, she tried reaching out a few times, but I never answered. I have never called her first either." Jung Minjun said to himself, "Now I understand. Is that why she kept saying she wanted to study abroad in America?" Hanyena continued, "When she left for America, I said something I should not have, something that really hurt her. Up until this whole disaster started, I hesitated to call. Even if I called now, she is in America and could not help anyway. So, there is nobody left around me now." Jung Minjun looked at her. He said, "Do not say that. You are not alone." As Hanyena listened, Jung Minjun continued, "You have got me." He paused, then added, "And Hakshil too." He looked at her with assurance. "So, let us survive this together. No matter what." Hanyena was shocked. She blushed slightly and softly replied, A few seconds later, Jung Minjun asked, "Should we get some sleep now?" Hanyena answered, Outside, a zombie grunted in agreement, Gar. A few hours later, the sun shone brightly. Hanyena slept peacefully, already on Jung Minjun's side of the futon. Meanwhile, Kang Hakcheol dreamed quietly. He remembered an old man shouting at him, "You little brat. Should I drag you off like your parents and put a bullet in your head too? What, choking up now? Blame your traitorous uncle who ran off to South Korea." "Ha ha ha." Kang Hakcheol pleaded, Please spare me." The old man shouted again, "You and your worthless siblings are destined to live in filth forever. That is your fate. Why, you are angry? Then come at me." Suddenly, Kang Hakcheol woke up. He heard the noise of an engine outside. He sat up immediately and thought, "A car engine. Seo Jae-hoon entered the living room and said, "Did you hear that? I think a car stopped outside." Kang Hak-cheol responded, "I will go check it out." As he heard the sound of car doors opening and closing, he muttered, "Car doors opening and closing? What is this? If the infected react to the sound of the engine, it could be dangerous. Who the heck brought a car here?" He looked around and spotted a ladder. He placed the ladder up to the roof. A few seconds later, Kang Hak-cheol climbed toward the rooftop. As he looked around, he was suddenly shocked and confused. As Kang Hak-cheol saw two men outside the gate, the college boy said, "How about checking here this time? I wonder if there is anyone here." The older brother said, "Considering there is barbed wire in place, there may be people. There might be infected around us, though." The college boy replied, "Ah, fudge. Then what are you doing? We had better hurry up before the infected discover us." Kang Hak-cheol said to himself, "A gun?" And he pointed his rifle at them and said, "Freeze! Drop your weapons and put your hands up." As the college boy and the older brother were shocked and confused, the college boy said, Whoa, that flipping scared me." Kang Hak-cheol shouted, "Drop your weapon, you sons of biscuits. If you do not drop it within 3 seconds, I will make holes in your skulls." The college boy placed his Desert Eagle on the ground, and Kang Hak-cheol said, "Both of you step back 3 meters. Then he thought to himself, "Hold on. Where did he get that gun from?" The college boy asked, Who are you?" Kang Hak-cheol replied, "That is my question. Are you looters?" The older brother said, "We are not strange people." Kang Hak-cheol said, "You even came with weapons. Who are you trying to lie to, you fudgeheads?" The older brother said, "We thought this was an empty house." Kang Hak-cheol asked, "Where did you get that gun?" The college boy answered, "We got it from a dead body. I do not think he was a soldier." Kang Hak-cheol replied, "Lie. A civilian possessed such a weapon? Is this America, silly head?" The college boy protested, I swear. Fudge, why does it matter where that weapon came from? You are the one armed with a rifle." Kang Hak-cheol said, "This rifle is a widely used gun in the military. That pistol, however, does not seem to be a military or police firearm, right?" The older brother said, We are really not bad people. I am just an ordinary office worker, and this guy is a college student who just got discharged from the reserve forces. We came here after patrolling and getting isolated at the Gunja station shelter." The college boy said, "That is enough, older brother. Let us just leave." And then he said to Kang Hak-cheol, "Please just let us go. We will take our weapons away." Kang Hak-cheol said, "Did you just say Gunja station?" "Line 5, Gunja station." Then he thought to himself, "It is 2 stations before Gwangnaru station." The older brother said, "Yes, there is a large shelter there." Kang Hak-cheol asked, "Do you have any proof that it is true?" The college boy responded, "Whether it is true or not, you should go see for yourself. Well, you might die on the way there, but even if you get there, it will be difficult to get in and out." Kang Hak-cheol said, "If so, everyone has probably thought about crossing the Han River via the Line 5 underground tunnel." The college boy replied, "We have tried several times, but it is quite difficult now. All stations around Gunja are occupied by the infected, and I cannot say more details." Kang Hak-cheol was silent for a moment and then said, "I want to hear more. If you have any helpful information, we are willing to listen. Have you seen or heard about a woman named Seo Hak-young, 20 years old?" The college boy repeated, "Seo Hak-young." The older brother added, "First of all, the surrounding infected might gather, so let us go inside and talk." Kang Hak-cheol said, "But weapons are not allowed inside." A few moments later, inside the house, Professor Seo Jae-hoon sweated and said, "Gunja station shelter?" The older brother said, "It is a fairly large shelter with about hundreds of survivors, and the entrance is thoroughly blocked. The organization is somewhat systematic." Professor Seo Jae-hoon said, "Hundreds of people?" The college boy explained, "We were patrolling around a 1 to 2 kilometer radius from Gunja station, but after being isolated and being chased by the infected, we ended up here. We got the vehicle midway between this neighborhood and Gunja station." Kang Hak-cheol interrupted, "That is not the point. Please talk about what we just discussed." The older brother said, You said that you lost contact around the time your daughter passed Gwangnaru Station while she was returning home on Line 5, right?" Professor Seo Jae-hoon replied, "Yes, that is right." The older brother continued, and the exact time when the call was cut off was 8:10 in the evening that day. Professor Seo Jae-hoon sweated and said, "Yes," as he remembered when he answered the phone and said, "Hello? What do you mean?" Seo Hak-young said, "People are attacking and causing chaos on the subway right now." Professor Seo Jae-hoon asked, Who are those people?" Seo Hakyung answered, I do not know. I am running to the next car with the others and blocking people from coming in. I am scared, Dad. Professor Seo Jae-hoon said, Where are you now? Seo Hakyung replied, I am almost at Gwangnaru Station. Ah, wait. Professor Seo Jae-hoon then heard chaos on the other end of the line. He said, After that, I do not know if she got off the subway when it stopped at Gwangnaru Station. Hyung said, I also boarded a subway heading from Gwangnaru toward Gunja Station that day. Professor Seo Jae-hoon asked, Really? Hyung replied. An infected person appeared in one of the cars inside the train. The subway passed through Gwangnaru Station and Akasan Station without stopping, like an express train, and then stopped at Gunja Station. The time was around 8:10 to 8:15 in the evening. It is very likely that we took the same train. Kang Hakcheol said, If what they said is true, there is a high possibility that your daughter is at Gunja Station. Professor Seo Jae-hoon, sweating, said, Then, have you seen my daughter? Her name is Seo Hakyung. Wait a moment, I will show you her picture. Hyung said, There are so many people at the shelter that we might not be able to recognize her. Professor Seo Jae-hoon handed over his phone. The college boy said, From the picture, it is a bit ambiguous. Hyung added, As expected, we cannot be sure. The train had over 200 survivors on board at that time. Many infected individuals emerged inside the train, so we cannot be certain if your daughter has already been infected or if she is among the survivors at the shelter. Then, are you going to come with us? What will you do? The college boy said, Entry is strictly blocked for outsiders, so they probably will not let you in easily. If you are going, it is better to go with us. Some guards are blocking the entrance with rifles, like this Mr. here, so you could get shot if you are careless. Kang Hakcheol said, Our numbers are large. It would be tough to move all together. Hyung said, Then let us set a rendezvous point halfway to Gunja Station. If you are moving by car, I can tell you the route for that. We will find a hiding spot around here and leave tomorrow, and I will give this to you. He handed over a radio. Kang Hakcheol said, A walkie-talkie? Hyung replied, It will be on standby within 500 meters to 1 kilometer, so talk to me. Use it while keeping your distance from our group until the rendezvous point. In return, please give us 2 days' worth of supplies. If we do this much, you will trust us, right? Kang Hakcheol remained silent and stared at him. A few moments later, inside the living room, Han Yena said, Gunja Station shelter? Kang Hakcheol answered, Yes, we agreed to meet at a midpoint and head to Gunja Station. They are hiding nearby and will leave tomorrow. Han Yena said, What if they are lying? Kang Hakcheol replied, They have no reason to lie. And although they have weapons, from how they act and speak, they do not seem like bad people. Then he looked at Professor Seo Jae-hoon and asked, What will you do, Professor? Tomorrow. We are thinking of leaving. If we move on foot, it is probably impossible for us to travel together with your family. But if we find a 6-seat vehicle, we might be able to move together to some extent. Professor Seo Jae-hoon began to sweat. Kang Hakcheol continued, Of course, only along the route they have told us about. But as you said, if the vehicle gets stranded, I will not be able to guarantee our safety either. I am making this clear. If a dangerous situation arises, I will only look after myself, and you will have to take care of your family on your own. Please think about it carefully. Professor Seo Jae-hoon looked down, still sweating. Moon Ji-yeon said softly, Honey. A few moments later, in the kitchen, Han Yena said to herself, If we are leaving tomorrow, we should prepare some supplies. If the professor's family is coming, we will need quite a bit. I should get a backpack that I can carry. But where did Jung Minjun go? She walked upstairs. Jung Minjun said, Hajun, you play so many games, yet you study well too? That is really impressive. Hajun replied, So if you do not play Roblox or Brawl Stars, what game do you play, Young? Jung Minjun said, I also play LANPub, but recently I have been playing a zombie game called Rage Z. Hajun said, Oh, me too. Actually, I am not supposed to play that because of the age restriction, but I play it secretly without my parents knowing. I dream of becoming a game developer, just like the creators of that game. Jung Minjun said, Oh, your dream is to become a game developer? You study well, so I think you can definitely do it. Han Yena walked into the room and said, Hey, when did you two get so close? Ha ha. Jung Minjun, confused, replied, Huh? Ah. We were just talking about some men stuff. Han Yena looked at the wall, confused. She then looked at the poster and said, Oh, are you a Lumina fan? The poster read, Lumina Girls. Hajun said, Yes, I like John Nuna. Han Yena said, So cute. Moon Ji-yoon called out, "Hajun, come down here for a moment. Let's talk for a bit." Hajun replied, "Okay." As Jung Min-jun stared at the poster, Han Yena silently observed him. He focused on one particular girl. Han Yena asked, "Hey, Jung Min-jun, laugh out loud. Why are you staring so intently? Is she your ideal type?" Jung Min-jun responded, "Ah, I knew her when I was little." "Yujan." Han Yena was shocked and confused. She then shouted, "Ha! That's a load of nonsense. You're saying you knew Lumina's Jian? Ha ha ha. Hey, pull out her contact info. Even as a joke, that's way too unrealistic. Ha ha ha. Poo ha ha." Jung Min-jun, sweating, said, "It's true, she's a year younger than me. But of course, I haven't contacted her. She moved away after entering middle school. When I heard she became an idol, I was still cheering for her from afar. Well, she's now in a completely different world than mine." Han Yena looked at him silently, unamused. Jung Min-jun added, "Fine. If you don't want to believe me, then don't. I told my friends about it too, and they made me sound like I was delusional." "Heh," Han Yena said, "Ha ha, I knew it. It's impossible that someone like you knew Lumina's Jian." Jung Min-jun walked out of the room and said, Yeah, just joking, just joking." Han Yena stood silently, then looked at the poster and muttered, "Still, there's no way. Ha! But she really is incredibly beautiful." A few moments later, in the living room, Professor Sao Jae-hoon said to Kang Hakcheol, "I have discussed it with my wife and son. Honestly, I do not think there is any hope if we stay here any longer. We will also head to Gunja Station Shelter together." Kang Hakcheol, shocked, said then, about the vehicle, Professor Sao Jae-hoon said, "I have a vehicle in mind. It is a sports utility vehicle, so it is perfect. But it is parked in a trapped area, so it is difficult to bring back. There is an ambulance about a kilometer away from here. It has an infected driver inside, but if we can handle it, it should start." Kang Hakcheol asked, "An ambulance?" Professor Sao replied, "Yes, the back has enough space for 6 people, so it should be perfect. But the problem is, when I last approached and checked the ambulance, there were 2 infected in the driver and passenger seats, and I could hear infection sounds from the back, so there are at least 3. Kang Hakcheol asked, "Did you check it yourself?" Professor Sao Jae-hoon said, "I saw 2 infected in the driver's seat with my own eyes. That was about 3 days ago, so they should still be there." Kang Hakcheol said, "Understood. If there are 3 inside, with your help, we can handle it. It will be too risky if there are more than that. Then let's finish all preparations and head there together tomorrow." Professor Sao Jae-hoon said, "Understood." When sent, a few hours later, Kang Hakcheol said, "Looks like all the luggage, including Yena's backpack, is packed. Anything else?" Jung Min-jun said, "Hey, Hakcheol, is there any chance? You know how to make Molotov cocktails. How about making a few?" Kang Hakcheol asked, "Molotovs?" Jung Min-jun said, "Yes. I thought we might need them later, so." Kang Hakcheol said, "Molotovs. Yes. Good idea." At night, in the living room, Kang Hakcheol stared silently at the ceiling. Young suddenly spoke on the radio. "Mr. Hakcheol, did you get a vehicle? Over." Kang Hakcheol picked up the radio and said, "There is an ambulance parked some distance from home, so I plan to check it out tomorrow morning. If everything is good, we will just head out with that ambulance. But there could be variables." "Over." Hyung replied, "We are waiting near a building at the nearby intersection. We will also head out tomorrow once you have everything in order. I hope there is no big problem." Outside, the fog covered the streets. Zombies lurked around the ambulance. Inside the ambulance, the infected groaned, "Creak, grr," Hyung said over the radio. Then, "I wish you all good luck." Over. At night, while Han Yena was sleeping, she moaned silently. She was in a dream where she was still at school and had fallen asleep at her table. Han Yena moaned again while sleeping, then sat up and said, What a horrible dream. Zombies, seriously." She looked around and said, "What the? Did everyone already go home?" She looked at the clock and said, "Wait, why didn't anyone wake me up?" It was already 5:30 p.m. Han Yena said, "What time is it? Crap, I'm going to be late for cram school." She then walked toward the door and bumped into Jung Min-jun saying, Fudge, what?" As she looked at Jung Min-jun, Han Yena said, Jung Min-jun?" Jung Min-jun stared at her silently. Han Yena said, What are you doing here? Why didn't you go home?" Still silent, Jung Min-jun stared. Han Yena said, Why are you staring at me like that? What's your problem? You couldn't even make eye contact before." Suddenly, Jung Min-jun held Han Yena's delicate wrist, and Han Yena shouted, "Kya!" Jung Minjun pushed her against the wall. Han Yena felt something nice while staring at Jung Minjun and said, Jung Minjun? What the heck? She sweated nervously and said, You wanna die? Let go of me. Jung Minjun whispered, Fudge, and said, Hey, you witch. Does it feel good ignoring me like that all the time? Han Yena was confused and shocked. Jung Minjun said, Last night, last week, and 2 weeks ago, you outright cursed at me, remember? You treat me like I'm dirt at school. So why are you suddenly talking to me now? Should I treat you just as roughly? Han Yena blushed and sweated as she said, What? Roughly? She looked away, enjoying it a little to herself, and said, You're just a loser. What's with some pathetic tone all of a sudden? Jung Minjun said, Shut up. Call me a loser one more time and I swear I'll poke you from behind. Han Yena said, Let me go. Why are you so strong? If you keep this up, I'm going to scream. Jung Minjun said, Scream all you want. It's just you and me here right now. You're talking big, but you're not resisting at all. KKK. Acting all tough on the outside, but you're kinda cute, eh? Han Yena said, Shut up. I don't even want to look at a penniless creep like you. If you keep mouthing off, it won't just be words next time. I might actually hit you. Han Yena said, What? Hit me? Ha, go ahead and try it. You weak little loser. Jung Minjun said, Want to test if I'm weak or not? I'm serious, I'll hit you. Back in reality, Han Yena whispered to herself while dreaming, This bastard Jung Minjun, if you keep doing this, She felt nice to herself and moaned. She was silent. She gently opened her eyes and said to herself, Was that a dream? What the heck kind of nightmare was that? She suddenly saw Jung Minjun close to her and said in confusion, She was hugging Jung Minjun close, making Jung Minjun her human warm pillow. She was shocked and confused. She then sweated and blushed, saying to herself, what the heck? Did I fall asleep hugging Jung Minjun? Did this bastard push me all the way over here? Is that why I had that kind of dream? Seriously, this perverted bastard. Is he pretending to be asleep and doing this on purpose? She removed her hand from Jung Minjun. Kang Hakchol snored silently on the couch. Han Yena was still close to Jung Minjun, pressing her huge soft chest against his arm, and said to herself, So annoying, Jung Minjun. She stared at him closely and said to herself, But something's seriously weird. Before I definitely thought that he smelled like a musty basement or something. That's why I didn't want to be anywhere near that stench. But now I don't smell anything like that. Jung Minjun peacefully slept while resting his arm against Han Yena's delicate, soft, huge chest. Han Yena smelled Jung Minjun close and said to herself, Did he shower or something? Now he actually smells kind of nice. But why? Why does he suddenly look kind of handsome? Am I still dreaming? Has the apocalypse messed up my brain or something? He definitely didn't look like this before. Is it just because he took off his glasses and has his eyes closed? Suddenly, Jung Minjun opened his eyes abruptly and saw Han Yena staring closely at him. Han Yena, confused, said, Huh? She panicked and shouted, Wah! Then punched the life out of Jung Minjun, yelling, Kya! You perverted jerk! Gak! Jung Minjun cried in pain. Kang Hakchol suddenly sat up and pointed his assault rifle at them. What? Freeze! Jung Minjun quickly said, No, it's nothing, Hakchol. Just go back to sleep. Han Yena, covering her body, shouted, You were staring at me right in front of my face. My heart almost dropped. Jung Minjun said, Awake? But weren't you already up when I opened my eyes? Han Yena snapped, No, I wasn't. When I opened my eyes, you were already up. Jung Minjun frowned. That's not right. Han Yena, irritated, said, This. Fudge. Jung Minjun remained confused. You yelled at me, and even hit me. She suddenly kicked Jung Minjun's face with her perfect foot. So annoying, seriously. Ack! Jung Minjun groaned in pain. Han Yena hid under the blanket while Jung Minjun stared, confused and sweating. I cursed at Han Yena. Kang Hakchol said, Jung Minjun, did you actually yell at her? Jung Minjun replied, No, I didn't. Did I say something in my sleep? It was 2:15 a.m. A few moments later, outside, Kang Hakchol said, Anyway, listen up again. If the professor and I manage to secure the ambulance as planned, we'll drive it straight back here. Once we arrive, Yena and Minjun open the garage shutter so we can bring the car in, toss the supplies in the back, and head out right away. Got it? Kang Hakchol said, Minjun, go upstairs and keep a lookout. Make sure to stay alert and monitor the area until we return. Do not get distracted. Jung Minjun said, Okay. Kang Hakchol said. Then we're heading out. Han Yena said, be careful, Kang Hakchol. Moon Jiun added, take care, honey. Seo Jae-hoon said, don't worry. A few moments later, as water dripped into the basin, dark fog covered the streets. Jung Minjun used binoculars to scan the area. He waited patiently, staring into the distance. Han Yena asked, still no sign of them. Jung Minjun said, yeah, the fog is really thick today. Han Yena frowned. Don't tell me something happened. It's already been an hour. Jung Minjun explained. They said the vehicle was about 1 kilometer away, so walking while staying alert would easily take over 30 minutes just to get there. And there were infected inside the ambulance too, so taking care of them probably took more time. Suddenly, a noise echoed in the distance. Both of them were shocked. Was that a gunshot just now? Han Yena asked. Did Hakchol fire it? Jung Minjun said, no. It didn't sound like the rifle Hakchol's using. It sounded different. Han Yena said, what? Then whose gunshot was that? Maybe the people who came here yesterday. Minjun said. Han Yena began sweating nervously. She stood up, covered her tiny mouth and nose, and said, oomph. Jung Minjun asked, what's wrong? Han Yena replied, what is this smell? It's so foul I feel like throwing up. Something's approaching, huh? Jung Minjun muttered, confused. Suddenly someone shouted, open the door. Jung Minjun jumped up and looked ahead. He saw someone running toward them. Who? Hurry up and open the door, the man shouted. Minjun thought, that person from yesterday? Han Yena asked, who is it? Jung Minjun replied, it's that person who came yesterday morning. But where's the car they came in? And there was one more person. The man arrived at the gate and said, huff. He knocked on the gate with his gun. Open the door. Please let me in. Jung Minjun asked, yeah, you're the one from yesterday, right? Where's the other person? He got attacked and died. Hasn't Hakchol come back yet? Why the heck isn't he answering the radio? He whispered, a monster showed up. Then shouted, a monster showed up. Guns don't work on it. Jung Minjun looked ahead through the binoculars, sweating in disbelief, hesitating to open the gate. No way. In the distance, Lee Bongyu said, Han, Yena, where are you? Minjun remembered what Bongyu said the day before. Nice to meet you. I'm Bongyu Oppa. Now Bongyu walked slowly, muttering, my Instagram. Why won't you accept me? Jung Minjun, recalling his past while playing zombie games, said, Hey, there's a fat zombie at the ping location. Run. Jung Minjun thought to himself. That thought that kept lingering in my head. That anxiety. If there's even the slightest connection, then the world truly is heading toward apocalypse. As he remembered seeing a boomer in his game, and now looked at Lee Bongyu walking in the same eerie way, he continued to think. And now that fear became certainty. Lee Bongyu, groaning, said, wei, yena. And Jung Minjun whispered to himself, and finally I was sure. Outside, the sky was cloudy. The streets were gloomy. A few minutes earlier, a zombie inside the ambulance groaned, Gook, Grook. Kang Hakchol said, there are 2 in the front seats. If the vehicle starts, can we back out? Professor Seo Jae-hoon replied, yes, the road behind is clear, so we can definitely. But how should we handle this? Suddenly, Kang Hakchol was shocked and confused as he heard noises coming from the direction of Professor Seo Jae-hoon's home. Professor Seo Jae-hoon exclaimed, what is that sound? Kang Hakchol's radio suddenly crackled. Kang Hakchol, did you secure the vehicle? Quickly, come this way. There's a problem. Kang Hakchol, sweating, said, it's gunshots. From the people who came yesterday. Professor Seo Jae-hoon said, What on earth is happening? Kang Hakchol shouted, hurry, Professor. It would be better to handle this quickly with the rifle. If you open the driver's door, I'll shoot. After shooting the front seats, the infected will swarm immediately. So hurry with the back seats too. Professor Seo Jae-hoon responded, yes. At the home of Professor Seo Jae-hoon, Jung Minjun rushed down the stairs as he heard the older brother from yesterday shouting outside the door. Please open it. I'm going to die at this rate. Jung Minjun immediately opened the door. Quickly, come in, he said. The man replied, thank you, but his friend, already a zombie, leaped at him from behind. Jung Minjun was shocked as the friend tackled the man to the ground. The zombie shrieked, Gra! The man screamed in pain, Argh! Va! Help me! Please save me! Han Yena looked outside and was shocked. The zombie growled, Grook! Jung Minjun shouted, Mister! Han Yena cried out, infected are swarming, Jung Minjun! Quickly, come inside! She suddenly froze in shock as she looked ahead. Huh? She gasped as she saw Lee Bongyu running toward them. Lee Bongyu said, I found you. Hanyena dropped to the ground in shock as Jung Minjun immediately shut the gate. The man outside screamed, "Help me!" The zombies groaned, "Geek! Grah!" Jung Minjun gasped, "Huff!" Still in shock, Hanyena said, What is that thing?" Jung Minjun replied, "It's Lee Bong-gyu, the one we met at the construction site, the older brother who knew Park Sung-bin." Outside, Lee Bong-gyu growled, "Grew, Yina." Jung Minjun, sweating, said, We need to run." Then he shouted, "That thing can't be easily handled even with a rifle. Kang Hak-cheol needs to come help." Suddenly he heard the gates being pounded hard. He was shocked and looked at the gates. A huge bump bulged from the metal. Moon Ji-yoon came out of the house and asked, "What is going on out there?" Jung Minjun shouted, "Go inside, ma'am. Take Ha-jun and hide on the second floor." Jung Minjun said to himself, "Fire, right, Molotov cocktails." He looked at Hanyena and said, Hanyena, listen to me carefully. You absolutely have to help me." Still frozen in shock, Hanyena did not respond. Jung Minjun shouted, "Hanyena, get a grip and listen to me." Hanyena suddenly flinched. Jung Minjun grabbed her delicate shoulder and said, "That thing will definitely break through the gate and come in. It might even break down the front door to find you, so I'll throw Molotov cocktails at the gate to buy time with the flames. There's gasoline left from when we made Molotov cocktails yesterday, right? When that thing breaks through the gate and comes inside, you pour gasoline on it from above. Then I'll attack more with Molotov cocktails. More infected will gather around, so after you pour all the gasoline, you need to throw Molotov cocktails from above to attack too. Out of 8 Molotov cocktails, I get 4, you get 4. Can you do it?" Hanyena, still unmoving and sweating, hesitated. Jung Minjun shouted again, "Can you do it?" Hanyena responded, "Yeah." Jung Minjun came inside the house with Hanyena and said quickly, "Go up to the second floor." He took some soju bottles filled with gasoline. Jung Minjun came back out and said to himself, "Because of that sound, more infected will gather. The moment the door breaks, all the gathered infected will rush in at once. But if my guess is right, no matter how maximized their attack instincts are, infected are vulnerable to fire. Of course, they'll jump into the flames, but we can at least prevent the indiscriminate entry of infected." Jung Minjun threw a Molotov in front of the gate. Suddenly, with a heavy punch, Lee Bong-gyu broke the gate open. He groaned, grew. As he stepped inside, Jung Minjun said to himself, "Most importantly," Lee Bong-gyu called out, "Yina." As he slowly walked into the flames, Jung Minjun thought, "If we don't handle that scoundrel first, it's over." Hanyena shouted, "Did you find me, you perverted scoundrel?" She poured gasoline onto Lee Bong-gyu. Lee Bong-gyu groaned in pain. Jung Minjun threw another Molotov at him and yelled, "Go to the void, you flippin' monster!" Lee Bong-gyu exploded in a fireball. He howled in agony. "Keek!" Jung Minjun shouted to Hanyena and Moon Ji-yoon, "That's not nearly enough. Even though I blocked with flames, 1 or 2 still got through, so keep throwing and attacking." Hanyena responded, "Yeah." Suddenly, the zombie from earlier sprinted toward Jung Minjun and shrieked, "Gra! Arg!" Jung Minjun shouted, "One's coming in." He thought to himself, "We're running out of Molotov cocktails. It'll be dangerous if more swarm. If only we had Hak-cheol's rifle." Yina on the second floor seems to have used almost all of hers too. Lee Bong-gyu screamed in pain. "Grook!" Jung Minjun gritted his teeth and thought, "Darn, this is the last one." As another zombie rushed toward Jung Minjun, it shrieked, "Grua, arr!" The zombie tackled Jung Minjun to the ground. Hanyena broke into a sweat, shouting, "Jung Minjun!" Moon Ji-yoon cried out, "What should we do?" Hanyena said, "If I throw now, Min-jun will burn to death too. I'll quickly come down and help." She shouted, "Jung Min-jun, just hold on a little longer." Another zombie ran toward him, screaming, "Gra! Arr!" The zombie on top of Jung Minjun howled, "Gra! Gra!" Jung Minjun gritted his teeth and shouted, "Don't come down. Hide, Hanyena." He struggled to push the zombie off him. In his mind, he thought, if more infected get in, then this swarm, this is as far as we go. In the end, suddenly, the zombie on top of him was shot in the head. Blood splattered across Jung Minjun's face as he closed his eyes. Darkness. He gently opened them again and saw the gloomy clouds above. Then he heard Kang Hak-cheol's voice, "Get up!" Kang Hak-cheol shouted again, "Get up before more come!" Jung Minjun, still stunned, muttered, "Kang Hak-cheol." Kang Hak-cheol helped him stand. Meanwhile, Lee Bong-gyu, still burning, screamed, "Keek!" Kang Hak-cheol shouted to the others, "Hurry up!" Outside, other zombies heard the noise and rushed toward the house, screaming, "Gra! Kia! Ag!" Kang Hak-cheol opened the back of the ambulance. A female zombie inside shrieked, "Keek!" He shot her down and said to himself, The last bullet. Moon Ji-yoon and the others climbed into the ambulance and shut the doors. Kang Ha-cheol got inside and said to Professor Seo Jae-hoon, "Let's go." Professor Seo Jae-hoon replied, "Yeah." As he started the engine, zombies ran toward the vehicle, screaming, "Gra-ar!" The ambulance sped forward. Professor Seo Jae-hoon, sweating, glanced at the side mirrors. His home was burning behind them as the zombies chased. Flames devoured the house slowly in the distance. He sweated more as he steered the vehicle into the chaotic streets. A few moments later, as the streets gradually darkened, they continued their journey. Inside the ambulance, Jung Min-jun quietly held the stab wound he had received at the construction site. He sweated. He remembered the old man from earlier shouting, "Please, open the door. We are going to die if you do not." He had opened the door and said, "Huff, hurry, come in." The man said, "Thank," before his zombie friend leapt on him. Jung Min-jun thought about it deeply. He whispered to himself, "Ugh, it hurts again." Han Yena, worried, asked, "Are you okay?" Jung Min-jun replied, "Yeah, my side's been hurting since earlier." Han Yena asked, "Did you get your stitches out yet?" "Have Ha-cheol take a look when we get a chance." Jung Min-jun said, "I'll wait until tomorrow to see." As they passed by several motels, Professor Seo Jae-hoon said, "I think we're almost at the meetup spot the guy mentioned. Of course, he probably will not show up." Kang Ha-cheol added, "He said to turn left at Insenghof and just keep going straight." Professor Seo Jae-hoon replied, "If we've come about 4 kilometers, we're probably halfway there. It's still too early for sundown, so how about heading straight for Gunja Station?" Kang Ha-cheol said, "It looks like it's about to rain, and the sky's pretty dark. Maybe it's safer to wait at the meetup point." Professor Seo Jae-hoon suddenly pointed and said, "Oh, I see it. The Sky Motel." He parked the ambulance in front of the Sky Motel. A few moments later, they entered the building. As they walked through the dim hallways, Han Yena said, "Whoa, this place is seriously creepy, isn't it? If anything jumps out at me, I might pee my pants." Jung Min-jun said, "Seriously, Yena, watch your mouth." Han Yena nervously asked, "Hey, are you sure we're going to be all right here?" Kang Ha-cheol reassured her, "Yeah. I checked the whole second floor really carefully. Rooms 202, 203, and 206 are all safe, so we can each rest in one of those rooms." Han Yena said, "Ha-cheol, you really aren't scared at all, are you?" Kang Ha-cheol replied, "Honestly, I'm more afraid of people than ghosts or infected." They stopped at room 209. There was a huge X mark on the door. Kang Ha-cheol said, "I heard we only need to watch out for rooms that are marked like this." Han Yena said, "Yikes." Kang Ha-cheol warned, "Oh, and there are infected on the 4th floor hallway, so don't even think about going up there." Han Yena asked nervously, They won't come down to the 2nd floor, right?" Kang Ha-cheol replied, "The stairwell's locked, and there's no way they're taking the elevator." Then he turned to Professor Seo Jae-hoon and asked, "So, there are 3 rooms. How should we divide them up?" Professor Seo Jae-hoon said, Han Yena cut in, "Ha-cheol, stop shining that light on the professor. It's creepy as heck." A few moments later, they arrived at room 203 and entered. Kang Ha-cheol asked, "Yena, are you sure you're okay sleeping alone?" Han Yena replied, Honestly, I'd rather sleep with you guys than be alone, ha ha ha." Kang Ha-cheol said, "Or maybe you and Mrs. Moon could share a room. Since there are 3 rooms, Min-jun and I could take one. The professor and Ha-jun can have another." As Jung Min-jun entered the bathroom, Han Yena said, "Eh? What do you mean? Let's just all stick together." She gave a nervous laugh. "Ha ha!" Jung Min-jun rested silently against the wall. He muttered to himself, "Ha! The pain's getting worse and worse." He lifted his shirt and slowly unwrapped the bandage to check his wound. His eyes widened in shock and confusion. What the heck is this?" "My wound. My wound. Why is it like this? This feels just like an infected wound." "Do not tell me. I got infected? When did it happen? Where? Was it when that infected grabbed me earlier?" No, there are not even any bite marks. I'm pretty sure I didn't get bitten. Did I get infected through the stab wound at the construction site?" He struggled to recall every moment, from being hit in the face, thrown off the building, and hitting the ground. "My memory's fuzzy after that fall, but if I had been infected back then, the incubation period shouldn't be this long. I would have turned into an infected already, unless it happened when I got attacked earlier." He remembered being pinned to the ground, trying to push the zombie off him, and Kang Ha-cheol rushing in to help. But my stomach wound was covered by my clothes, so it would have been hard for anything to get in. Maybe if some fluid got into my eyes or mouth. Then he remembered something Kang Hakchiol said days ago. By the way, Young Minjin had asked, earlier when the infected's blood splattered on you, "You're not going to get infected, right?" Kang Hakchiol had replied, "I've already been splattered with infected blood multiple times, and it seems fine as long as it's just skin contact. As far as I know, the only way to get infected is by being bitten." Now, Young Minjin clenched his teeth and thought, maybe Hakchiol's theory was wrong, or maybe it's just an infection in my wound. Suddenly, a sharp pain hit him. He dropped to the floor and whispered, "No, I can just feel it. I'm infected." A few moments later, a dim lamp lit the room. Han Yena sat on the bed, waiting. She glanced at the frosted glass door of the bathroom. He's been in there for over 30 minutes. What the heck is he doing in the bathroom? This is driving me nuts. She called out, "Jung Minjin, what are you doing in there? I'm in a hurry. If you don't come out soon, I'm coming in there myself." The bathroom door opened slowly. Jung Minjin stepped out. Han Yena stood up. "What have you been doing in there? And you didn't answer at all." Jung Minjin, sweating, said, "Cool. There's still an extra room, right? Sorry, but the water was running. I couldn't hear anything. Do you mind if I sleep alone tonight?" Han Yena, confused, asked. "Why?" Jung Minjin hesitated. I just want to be alone right now." Han Yena said, all of a sudden? At least give us a reason. I just don't feel good. Right now, I just want to be by myself." Han Yena glanced at Kang Hakchiol and muttered, "Ah." She thought to herself, Then you want me and Hakchiol to share a room, just the two of us? Ugh, that's kinda awkward." Jung Minjin grabbed his bag. "Hey, Jung Minjin, wait a second. You're uncomfortable because of me, are you? Haha. I guess it is weird to share a motel room when it's not even home." Jung Minjin looked back at her, his tone deadly serious. "Han Yena, I'm not joking around, please." Han Yena froze. "Huh." She watched him walk away. Kang Hakchiol observed them silently, like watching a couple break apart. He said, "I'll just stay with the professor and Ha Jun. It'll probably be less awkward if you and Mrs. Moon share a room." Han Yena replied, Okay, all right. In room 202. Jung Minjin closed the door behind him. Everyone probably thinks the same thing, that their life might play out like the main character of a movie or drama. That just like in a movie, they'll get a happy ending someday. That even if things are tough, it'll all work out in the end. He leaned against it, sliding down slowly. He sat gently on the floor, his back still against the door. Holding his side tightly, he muttered, "But that's just not how it is." He looked at the scattered trash on the floor. "My life is nothing like a main character's. In the end, I'm just going to get infected and disappear quietly. I was just another ordinary extra. What was I even hoping for? In this miserable life," he sobbed and sniffled quietly, curled up in the dim motel room. I guess this was always how it was going to end. Outside, the zombies groaned, "Roar, roar." The next day, Sky Motel Han Yena, wearing her nightclothes, knocked on the door of room 202. "Jung Minjin, are you awake?" Jung Minjin. Kang Hakchiol approached and said, "I'll try to open the door." He grabbed the knob, tried it, then frowned. "It's locked." He started to sweat. "I hope I'm wrong, but," he whispered anxiously, "Jung Minjin, I think he's been infected." Han Yena's face suddenly froze in shock as she began to sweat. "What? That is ridiculous. He said yesterday he was not bitten." Kang Hakchiol said, "Did any of us actually check for ourselves?" Han Yena replied, If he really is infected, if we start banging on the door, would he not be freaking out like the infected do? But it is quiet." Kang Hakchiol said, "If he is okay, he would open the door. If he is not an infected, maybe he has already stopped breathing." Han Yena froze in place, her voice trembling in disbelief. "Hey, Hakchiol, you psycho, do not even joke about stuff like that." She suddenly started banging on the door. "Hey, Jung Minjin, open up now, stop messing around." "Ha, are you pranking me or something? Enough with the drama, just open up. This is not funny." She paused and spoke more softly. "Jung Minjin." She resumed pounding on the door. "Darn it, are you not going to open up? Hurry, open the door. Bang. Open this right now. Open the door, you idiot. Bang. Open." Suddenly she heard the door unlock. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Hey, are you Kang Hakchiol pointed his flashlight toward the doorway. Jung Minjin stood weakly and said, "Guys, something's wrong with my body." Thanks for tuning in. I truly appreciate each and every one of you who took the time to watch this video. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. If you enjoyed what you saw, consider sharing my videos or channel with your friends who might also enjoy it. Your support means the world to me, and helps my channel grow. Let's keep this community thriving together. Until next time, see you in the next video.